Hey there, good morning, and welcome into a special edition of the Sean O'Connell Show today. OC is out, BR is in, and it's so good to be with you as we are just about to August, and we are just about to college football season. Welcome in, Bill Riley sitting in the air chair today here at the Broadway Media Studios in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. Filling in today for Sean O'Connell. Got a good show lined up for you today. My good friend, Gordy Chase are going to be in studio with us. We'll talk to Gordy. It's kind of Gordy's last, I think it's probably one of his last goes. He usually takes August and part of September off to just kind of recharge the batteries and do Gordy things and probably hang out with his lovely wife, Nancy, and go visit kids and friends and family and get away a little bit. But Gordy's going to come in studio. We'll do a recap of Summer League and all that stuff with the Utah Jazz coming up at the 11:30 to 12:30 segment. But have no fear. Did you think I was going to sit in today and we were not going to talk football? Are you kidding me? 5 weeks from today, the season begins for the University of Utah. The first year of the Morgan Scalley era is just about ready to get going. Practice begins on Monday. Camp begins on Monday. It's not Camp Kyle anymore. It's Camp Morgan. Doesn't have quite the same alliteration or ring to it, but it is the first fall camp that Morgan Scalley will be in charge of, and so we'll talk some Utah football with you today. Big picture college football, Utah football. We'll do all of that stuff with you today. We're going to have Ryan Leaf, my good friend Ryan Leaf. I'm proud to say I bought early stock on the Ryan Leaf college football, pro football insider bandwagon train probably 6 or 7 years ago. And Ryan's career as a media member has taken off, and I could not be happier for him. He is a great story of perseverance and building your life back. He was an NFL quarterback. He was a number one pick, and he bottomed out. He did. It just didn't work for him. He went to jail. He spent time behind bars. And then he built his life back. And he is a tremendous analyst, and I love talking football with Ryan, so he's going to join us a little bit later on in the program today, as will we're going to do a little preview of a Utah opponent today. Quinn Grovey's going to join us today. He is the color analyst, former Arkansas Razorback football player, and he's been on their broadcast team for a long time. The Arkansas Razorbacks come to Rice-Eccles Stadium, the second game of the year. It's a later game. There's a little bit of talk about that by their athletic director, Hunter Yurcek, a few months ago. But it's an 8:15 kickoff at Rice-Eccles Stadium. I believe that's September the 12th. It is. The opener's on the 3rd, and then 10 days later, or whatever that happens to be, 9 days later, will be the second game against the Arkansas Razorbacks. But I've read a bunch about Arkansas, some good, some bad. Obviously, it's a rebuild year this year. Ryan Silverstein's the new head coach there, and he came over from Memphis, and they bottomed out a bit last year under Sam Pittman, who began his career doing really good things, but it didn't take. And there aren't a lot of high expectations this year for the Razorbacks, but you never know. Sometimes a couple of years ago there weren't high expectations for Arizona State. They were picked last of the Big 12, and they finished first of the Big 12. So I'm not going to sleep on an SEC team with great history and great athletes like Arkansas has, but I thought we would talk to Quinn Grovey today. A little bit about what will be coming to Salt Lake City and what we should expect on September the 12th. So that will be on the docket today. And, of course, I want to talk to you guys today as well. Text line will be open to you all day long at 877-353-0700. It could be college football. I hope we have a lot of college football conversation with you guys today. Utah conversation, if you want to talk about the Cougars, the Aggies, Weber State, whatever. I've been immersing myself on a day in and day out basis about especially the Big 12. I've done a little bit of diving on Bronco Mendenhall's team just simply because Utah's going to play them in the third week of the season. I haven't done a super deep dive yet into the Aggies, but I know a little bit about that. I have looked at the big picture of national college football. I don't think there's a definitive great team in college football this year. I think there's a lot of really good teams. And I think it could be pretty wide open for a championship. I don't think it's definitive that it's in Ohio State or in Oregon. As I look at it, there's probably 6 or 7, maybe as many as 8 teams that could win a national championship this year. Now, maybe that changes. Again, everything's on paper right now, so we don't know because nobody's played a game yet. I don't know that anybody last year would have said definitively before the year Indiana is going to be the national champions. I think a lot of people liked Indiana based on what Kirk Cignetti did in his first year, but I don't think anybody before the season was banging the drum saying the Hoosiers are going to run the table and they are going to be national champions. But it ended up that way. But they were in the mix last year for sure, coming off that first great year under Cignetti in Bloomington. So anyway, I have been immersing myself in college football stuff. So if you want to talk college football today, pro football today, hit me up on the text line. It's wide open to you on this Thursday, 877-353-0700. That is the text line for you guys to jump in and jump on board today, 877-353-0700. And we'll read them as we get them today. As I mentioned, Gordy will be in at 11:30 today. We'll do an hour of that. I'll mix in college football, pro football, news of the day throughout the day today. We'll read some of your text messages and more. Like I said, I could not be more excited as the season is 5 weeks from today, if you could believe that. Camp begins on Tuesday, August the 3rd. Actually, it's Monday, August the 3rd. I don't know why I have Tuesday in my mind. It's Monday, August the 3rd. They report on Sunday. Tomorrow, Friday is – I'm all mixed up. I feel – because I usually fill in on a Friday. Today's a Thursday. Sean's out. And so, anyway, I've got my days all mixed up. Tomorrow's the 31st. Saturday is the 1st. Sunday is the 2nd. That's when players report, though I joke about this. Players report, but they've been here pretty much all summer long. It's not like the old days, 20, 25, 30 years ago when players would go home for the summer and get a job, and then they'd come back and you'd spend the first week and a half to 2 weeks of fall camp. And this was the same thing in the pros, conditioning. They don't do that anymore. These guys, this is a full-time job. Many of these young men are being paid now to play football. So it's a full-time job, and they condition year-round. So they officially report for fall camp on Sunday, and then camp begins on Monday. Of course, you'll be able to see me up at camp. I'll be doing weekly reports on all the social channels and YouTube, Utah Athletics, doing that stuff. You'll see features that I'm putting out. I've got a new podcast set going. I've got my regular, The Crimson Corner. I had Bradley and Nye on this week. Bradley and Nye is not the mayor of Sac Lake City. That would obviously honor go to Nate Orchard. But Bradley and Nye had 29.5 sacks. He's the all-time sack leader in Utah football history. And I caught up with Bradley this week just to talk about life and ball. So you can find that on the Crimson Corner. But I've got another set of podcasts going on right now that have a video component to them as well. It's called Under the Headset. And we did it a year ago, and we brought it back again this year with so many new staff members. And we added a video component so you can listen where you normally get your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, wherever that might be. But if you like the video component to your podcast as well, we've got that. Couple have dropped already. Got another one dropping a little bit later on today. But Kevin McGivern, offensive coordinator, caught up with Kevin. That one dropped earlier this week. I caught up with Derek Odom, Utah safeties coach, a former Utah player himself. A former Utah safeties coach is back coaching safeties again. He came back to Salt Lake City to his alma mater. He had been coaching as defensive coordinator at San Jose State the last couple of years. So caught up with him. We'll have another one dropping today. We'll have 2 more next week. It's good. We've got a lot of content we're cranking out right now on all the different social media channels, podcast channels, all that stuff. So be looking for all of the content that I'm part of and our team, our content team at the University of Utah is part of as well. So if you follow Utah Athletics on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, if you follow Utah football, which many of you probably do, it'll be there too. And it's fun stuff. It's great content. It will whet that appetite just a little bit as football season. Again, practice begins on Monday for Utah, and the season kicks off 5 weeks from today with the Idaho Vandals coming in. You'll hear that game right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, 7 o'clock from Rice-Eccles Stadium on Thursday night, September the 3rd, for the Vandals coming in. So with camp beginning, and again, if you want to chime in on anything today, feel free to do so. 877-353-0700 is your text line to get in and on board today here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley filling in. Michael Thompson led us off today. Gosh, I missed that intro. Bill Riley, it pumps me up. Well, Michael, thank you for listening, and I'm glad it pumps you up still, and I'm glad that you're listening in today, and we'll try and entertain you for the next couple of hours and keep you informed as well. With camp beginning on Monday, I've got a couple of things I want to throw at you here today, but I've been around the program all summer long. Part of my job now is director of broadcasting. I'm on campus. I work for the university, so I've had a chance all summer long to catch up with staff and players and assistant coaches, Morgan as well, and just kind of talk football with them. And this team is going to be good this year. You've heard me say that on more than one occasion. I think this team has a chance to be really good this year. The talent is certainly there. Are there questions? Yes, but everybody's got questions this time of year. Everybody does. Everybody, nationally, regionally, locally, whatever it might be. Everybody's got some questions to answer. But some of the bigger questions for me going into camp, and they're not major questions, but they are questions. I put four together, and if you've got questions, you can feel free to text them to me at 877-353-0700. And this is not in any certain order, but the first question I have is, who's going to be the cornerback opposite of Scooby Davis? Scooby's got one of those corner spots locked down. I think it's probably going to be James Chenault and or Elijah Reed. Remember, we didn't know this last year either. Scooby was there last year, and then, as it developed, it ended up being young man from UC Davis, whose name is just escaping me right now. Anyway, so that's a question again this year, and I think it's a logical question. I think they've got good talent there. I'm just anxious to see who ends up winning that job. The other part of that is, too, who's going to be the slot? The nickel corner, as they like to say. Rock Caldwell, who was part of the program a year ago, got some run there in the spring. I think Nick Brown, who's another good defensive back who's been in the program for a year, has got a chance to be there. That's an important spot now. That nickel spot's important because in Morgan Scally, now Colton Swan's defense, the nickel does a lot. You've got to cover. Sometimes you're covering slot wide receivers. Sometimes you're covering backs out of the backfield. Sometimes you're having to cover a tight end. Sometimes they're asking you to blitz out of that spot. So that's a big spot. Rock Caldwell might be a name to keep an eye on there. Another question I've got going into fall camp. I don't question the talent there. If you guys have listened to my podcast or even listened to me here, I think the offensive line is going to be good this year. Will it be all-time good like it was a year ago? Will it be 5 guys going to the NFL next year? Probably not, but I think it's going to be good. But how quickly does it come together? How quickly do they get it settled in? Do they have the 5 guys at the beginning of camp on Monday and they get all those reps together? Is it going to be something to where maybe, just maybe, it takes them a week of practice to get everybody locked in, all 5 of those positions locked in? I kind of feel like they've got 3, maybe 4 of those spots locked in right now. But just how quickly does the offensive line come together? And the last question I've got for camp coming in is, what does the pass game look like? I think Kevin McGivern's going to want to throw the football around a little bit this year. He's done that at all of his stops. I think they will still be relatively run heavy as well. But what does the pass game look like coming in? What's it going to look like? Is it going to be wide receivers? Is it going to be backs out of the backfield? Is it going to be tight ends? What's that pass game going to look? Is it going to take shots down the field? Is it going to be a lot of short and intermediate stuff because Devin has shown he's really good at that? And maybe some of that question depends on what the prior question looks like. How quickly does the offensive line come together? Because you can't take shots down the field if your quarterback doesn't have a little bit of time to set up. You've got to give those routes time to develop. So what does it look like, and how quickly does it come together? So those are just a few of the questions I have coming into camp. If you have some, feel free to share them. 877-353-0700. But this is my big kind of question of the day. I threw this out on my podcast the other day, the Crimson Corner, and I'll throw it out to you guys today, too. If you haven't heard the podcast yet, you can go find it where you get your podcasts. We know what the most important position on the field is. It's quarterback. It always is. It doesn't matter if you're a conference or national championship contender or you're a bottom barrel program. You have to be good at quarterback. You just simply have to be good at quarterback. It's the most important position. It impacts the game more than any other position because that guy has the ball in his hands. He's the decision maker. So we take quarterback out of this discussion. Outside of quarterback, which position group will impact Utah's on-field success most this season? Outside of quarterback, which position group will impact Utah's on-field success most this season? Is it the wide receiver spot, where we've heard Morgan Scalley say it might be the deepest room he's ever had or coached? Is it the offensive line group? Oh, the group we've talked so much about, replacing 5 starters. Maybe it's that cornerback room. Maybe it's the secondary overall. Maybe it's the linebacker group. But for your number and for your sake, which position group do you think impacts Utah's on-field success most this year? Drop me a line on the text line at 877-353-0700 and let me know. I'm going to surprise you with my answer. Usually I wait a little while to let you marinate on that just a little bit, but I'm going to give you my answer right now. And it may surprise you just a little bit. For me, I think it will be the defensive line. Can they pressure the quarterback with 4? Last year, everybody had Logan Fano circled as the impact guy. Well, it turned out Logan had a solid season. He's on an NFL roster now with his brother in Cleveland. But the guy that kind of came out of nowhere last year was John Henry Daly. He ended up with 11.5 sacks, a bunch of quarterback pressures. Unfortunately, he tore his Achilles late in the season. But they were able to get pressure last year mostly with 4 because of Fano on one side and John Henry Daly on the other side. They were an excellent duo, not just with sacks, but with pressures too. Well, the defensive tackle room is relatively new. There's a few names and faces back. We've talked about some of those guys, Pupu Sepulona, guys like Carson Kafusi. And then you've got a bunch of new guys in there too. The defensive end room, a little new. They've added Ethan Day from North Texas, but Lance Holtzclaw, Cash Dillon, Paul Fitzgerald, those guys are all there. For me, I think the offensive line is going to be solid. I do. I've talked to enough people up there, players and coaches. I think the offensive line for Utah is going to be solid. You've got a mobile quarterback. You can move him around, do a lot of things. You can run the ball. I don't have any real concern or anything about that, and I think it will be a solid group. But for me, on the defensive side of the football, if Utah is going to be really successful, they need that defensive line to be able to step up and do what Morgan Scalley and Colton Swan want that defensive line to do, and that's get after the quarterback, get up the field. That way you don't have to get exotic all the time to create pressure with blitzes and scheme pass rush up. If you can rush 4, it allows your defense to do so many things. So I'm going to say I'm not going to just say edges. I'm going to say defensive line because the tackles have to be good too. Remember last year, Utah struggled late in the year against the run. We'll see if they've fixed those issues too. So for me, the position group that's going to impact Utah's on-field success the most this year outside of quarterback, for me, I'm going to say defensive line. You tell me what you think, and I'll certainly read them as we get them here today. 877-353-0700. That's the text line to get you in and on the program today, and we'll go in that direction. 877-353-0700. Text message in 4371. The position group most crucial is the defensive backfield, the safeties and corners, mostly the safeties. They need to come up and make the tackles in the box like Williams and Bishop did. Okay. Really, you need your linebackers to be really good doing that too. But I don't think that's bad either, because you're in a league where they throw the ball a lot. Will Healy says, O-line. Great to hear you today, Bill. Go Utes. Thanks, Will. 2131 says, hey, Bill, hope you get this. Can we name this? Tell me what you think. Scally's School or School of Scally. Just throwing it out there. What are we talking about here? School of Scally. Are we talking about the camp itself, or are we talking about something else? I don't know. You're a little more specific with that one. I'm not sure what you were going for there. Jordan Peters says, offensive line. You might be right, Jordan, but I just kind of feel like the offensive line is going to be solid across the board this year. To me, the defensive line is that position group that could impact Utah's on-field success the most. One of the Burdett boys checking in today. It's Austin says, if our defensive line can stop the run this year, we'll dominate the Big 12. I think our offensive line will be better than predicted. Thanks for being on today. Always great to hear your voice. Get me through the workday. Go Alta Hawks football. Okay, fair enough. Matt Rigby says, the Pac-12 lives again. How did that happen? Now, is it really, though, the Pac-12? I mean, just because you put a name on something doesn't make it that. I'm very happy. I think it's going to be a very solid football league, but it's not the Pac-12. The only real Pac-12 part of it is Washington State and Oregon State, and they were the lesser two, probably the least two members of that conference. Again, very happy for Utah State and all those schools. I think it'll be a nice league, but Pac-12, Text message 9021 says, hey, Bill, how do you feel BYU will do with Jay Hill's departure? I feel like it hasn't been talked about. When BYU won over 5 games from the comebacks in the fourth quarter, and mostly because of the defense and the changes they made with Jay Hill. Hopefully that makes sense. No, it does. I actually do think it's been talked about quite a bit. If you look at the turnaround, BYU had been solid. Kalani's done a great job there, but the last 2 years, the 2 years where Jay's been coordinating that defense down there, have been 2 of the best seasons in the history of BYU football. That doesn't mean that Kelly Papinga can't come in and do a nice job. He's been there. He's sliding over. But, again, he hasn't been in that position before. So we'll see what happens. Gennaro Guilford was a big part of that, too, by the way. He went with Jay to Michigan. And he had done, I mean, their cornerbacks, which had always been just kind of I think Guilford had done, or he and Jay had done a really nice job coaching those corners up down there. So we'll see what happens. I think that's a big question of BYU, and I think obviously developing playmakers on the outside for Bear Bachmeier too. You've got L.J. Martin and a good offensive line, so you're going to be able to run the football against most teams. But there's going to come a time, the thing about running the football is teams can stack the box. It's not, I won't say it's easy, but you can take a run game away. But when you do that, are there playmakers on the outside? Can Bachmeier get the ball down the field? Are there guys that can make plays? Because they had some guys the last couple of years down there. Chase Roberts was really good. Keelan Marion, before he left, he was really good. Cody Hagan was really good. So can they develop some playmakers on the outside? Text message in from Spencer Cobb today. Hey, Bill, how surprised would you be to see Utah go 7-5? Utah has a good team, but even some great teams have underwhelming years, especially with a new coach and a deeper Big 12 conference. Teams like TCU, Houston, and Arizona being better. Well, I would, to be very fair, Spencer, I would be shocked if they stay healthy. Again, injuries can play if we're just assuming there aren't cataclysmic injuries, I would be very surprised if Utah went 7-5. In fact, I think that there's a world where they're 8-0 going into the BYU game. Houston will be a tough game. But if you look at the teams they're playing, just go down the line. Idaho, 1AA program. Arkansas, SEC program, but very much in rebuilding mode, picked to finish near the bottom of the SEC. Utah State picked lower middle of the new Pac-12 with a lot of rebuilding going on up there. Iowa State lost their entire roster, new coaching staff, picked near the bottom of the Big 12. Colorado picked near the bottom of the Big 12. Kansas, retooling, kind of picked lower middle of the Big 12. These are the teams that Utah begins with. Their schedule gets tough on the back end. You mentioned some of those schools. Houston, Arizona, TCU, those are all good teams that they'll have to play, and two of those three on the road, BYU at home. But 7-5 would surprise me. My honest opinion, and this is just one man's opinion, this is nobody else saying it, I honestly, if healthy, think the low end of the totem pole for Utah is a 9-3 season. I think that's the low end. I think the high end could be maybe even an 11-1 type season. Again, if everything comes together. Not making a prediction now, but that's kind of the range I see them in. For them to go 7-5, I think a lot of things would have to go wrong this year. Thank you for your text message. 877-353-0700. If you want to reach me today, question of the day today, I threw some questions going into camp, not necessarily position battles, but kind of some fall camp questions for Utah football. Fall camp begins coming up on Monday. But my question of the day for you guys today, if you're Utah fans, or if you're just football fans who follow Utah, and if you're a BYU fan and if you want to kind of twist this around to the Cougars too, you can feel free to do that. Outside of quarterback, which we always know has the most impact on any team, which position group's impact will have the greatest impact on on-field success for Utah this year? I said for me, I think it's got to be the defensive line. I think for Utah to be really good defensively, they need that line to be really good. I know a lot of you have said offensive line, and that's fair, but I think the offensive line is going to be good. I do. For me, it's defensive line. But you give me your 2 cents worth. 877-353-0700. Again, 877-353-0700. One more text message in today. Babs. I think that's me. Always love these special editions when you grace the airwaves with your voice. Thanks for pumping us up and getting us ready for the season. Go Utes. Well, Babs, thank you for listening in today. Appreciate it. You'll really love this next segment coming up. He is everybody's favorite, especially mine. Talk to Gordy Chiesa coming up next here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Not so fast. OC is not here today. BR is with GC today. Gordy Chiesa in studio. Going to talk some NBA basketball. Last time Gordy and I talked, Summer League was just getting ready to start up in Las Vegas. And so now we've got that under our belt. So we've got that to talk about. Look ahead to the season and more. Gord, how are you?
Bill, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
You had a little vacation time, a little downtime, went up to Montana, got to see a little family?
Yeah, very much. I was in Missoula, Montana, which is a beautiful city, and we had a good time doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
Yeah, doing nothing.
That's what retirement's about, Gordy.
Yeah.
It's doing a lot of nothing.
Now, people told me that before I retired, I was doing nothing also, I might add. But that's a different story. Unlike you, you're the hardest working guy that we know.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I do try to bust it just a little bit here. So the summer's been good. We'll talk a little bit about everybody put out their summer league report cards and how individuals played and how individuals didn't play and things like that, which I always find to be interesting, Gordy. Now, if an individual like a Darren Peterson or a Caleb Wilson had an absolutely flat and terrible, they averaged 8 points a game in Summer League, you'd be a little worried about that. But the thing you have to remember about Summer League is you're not really playing with the guys if you're, A.J. DeBonsa and Darren Peterson and Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer that you're going to be playing with during the regular season. You're playing with a bunch of guys that aren't likely to make the team and maybe aren't even going to be in the G League. They're probably going to go play in some league in Paraguay or Mexico or something like that. So I always find it hard to really judge and give a letter grade to people. But how do you view evaluating Summer League players, especially the guys that are the first-round picks?
Well, the top 4 picks played absolutely tremendous. That's including Jazz, Darren Peterson. Jazz held him out some of the games, especially in Vegas. But when he was ready to play, he performed. Now, he didn't shoot well, and it's ironically because that's the best thing he does is make shots. He's a 38% three-point shooter, and his form is absolutely picture perfect. So he got talent. He gets in that lane with that strong body. He can make a play.
All right, nitpick for me just a little bit, though, on what you saw from him.
Well, he's not really a point guard.
Right.
So a lot of people say, well, he can play the point. He can enter the ball in the offense, but a point guard is your job as a point guard at every level, especially in the NBA, is to get everybody involved in the offense. Then the last 5 seconds of a shot clock, you become the offense yourself. Before that, you are getting everybody involved, with the exception being if the guy guarding you falls down on his feet with tangled footwear, then you go by him. Otherwise, your job is to get everybody involved. So Darren Peterson, his development, his ball handling has to improve, but also decision-making. You can't have 8 turnovers in a game. You cannot. Again, he's so young. He's 20 years youthful with enthusiasm. I love his game.
Is there something, though, in Summer League? Do coaches – I know Will Hardy isn't technically the coach, but he's overseeing everything. And is there something where they kind of want these guys to go out and be free-flowing and show what they can do? How upset or sideways do coaches get about – he had the big turnover game. I mean, are you dwelling much on that if you're the Jazz?
No, you're not.
Okay.
You're not. But what you do, though, you want to try to – again, value the ball. Go at every level. Your job is to any sports, matter of fact, whether it's football, basketball, is to value the ball, and that means what? Decision making. And a lot of times, in the NBA, even though you're playing in a Big 12 or the ACC or the Big Bad Big East or the Big 10, is that the game is absolutely more physical in the regular season, and then also in the playoffs, it's a whole different level. And you saw that firsthand, where Jalen Brunson-type people who's got a strong body at 6'2", the defensive players who are really good were bouncing off him, meaning Stephen Castle and Dylan Harper and all those other people, Champagnie of the Spurs, they couldn't guard him because of decision-making and a strong body. So Darren Peterson-type players, A.J. DeBonsa, Caleb Wilson. Now, Cam Boozer, ironically, he's strong already. So Cam Boozer is probably the most underrated guy where no one talks about him. You know what he does? Simply, he wins.
How much better do you think I mean, we talk about high floor, low ceiling guys. I think they use that description with a guy like Cam Boozer.
Right.
I mean, does he have superstar written on him for you, or does he just have star, all-star perhaps, guy that's going to have a 10, 12-year career? Or do you think he could be a superstar?
Well, I'm going to differ in a viewpoint. I'm going to go for a point where is that he's going to average for his career 22 and 11 and 5 dimes.
Okay.
So a superstar means that he can carry a franchise deep into players every year. He would be probably on an elite team, your second best player.
Right. So,
which is great.
So nothing
Absolutely
wrong
great
with that whatsoever.
All right. So the answer is I love his game. I coached his dad. This guy's even better than his dad, potentially. And Carlos Boozer was an underrated, again, in jazz folklore.
He's a better all-around player than his dad was. His dad was a somewhat undersized power forward, who could really rebound and score around the basket. This kid can do more.
Very much.
He's a passer. He can space out on the floor and shoot the ball a little. Carlos got better with that, as most NBA guys. Carl did too. The further you go along in your career, he's more ready because that's where the game is today.
Very much. And by the way, he's only 19 years old. These guys are so young. Bill, I know guys 19 years old. They don't know what's today. Is today Thursday or Wednesday? I'm not sure what date it is right
19-year-olds in life
young.
and in general are young and dumb. They don't have any idea. This guy, though, he does. He's a 19-year-old that gets it.
Very much, yeah. And the Memphis Grizzlies, there is. I know last year was bizarre. They won 27 games and lost 55. But the Grizzlies, they've done a good job with their roster and who they acquired, and they'll be a better team this year. And Jazz basketball, there's like the Spurs and the Thunder are by far the best teams. But everyone else is you can make a narrative where there's no perfect third-place team right now whether it's the Nuggets, Lakers, Rockets, T-Wolves, Suns, Trailblazers, Clippers, Warriors, Mavs, Grizzlies, Jazz, they're all bunched up. In my eyes, the only two teams that really would be on the bottom, it seems to me, would be the Pelicans and the Kings. Everyone else, you can make a discussion point, hey, we're going to be good, and here's the reasons why. Usually speaking, the way a team improves is that they play better defense, and that's the Jazz right now. And in Jazz basketball, you cannot be the Jazz as far as the last 2 years where defense, they struggled both on ball and off ball. On ball means what? That I pride myself where I'm going to guard the ball in my defensive stance to my best of my ability, use my hands without fouling, and then if I do make the player does penetrate and gets in the lane, we're going to be organized, get to the corner to challenge that three-point shot. And that's what you do. And Bill, I know Bill right now, I'll put you on the spot. Bill,
okay.
I've been talking to you way too infrequent. So Bill, by the way, how far is the NBA short corner three?
22 feet.
That's exactly right, Bill. This is why, Bill, you're a scholar and I'm a starving artist.
Well, you've drilled that into my head for the last 15 years. So
let's see, Bill. How far is the arc three-point line?
NBA arc?
Yeah, NBA arc.
26 feet.
Oh, my God. I'm glad you're not an astronaut. I am glad we're not going to. Right now, we're going to the wrong planet right now. 23.9.
Okay, 23.9.
Let's go yesteryear. Bill, how far is the old school red, white, and blue iconic ball ABA 3?
22 feet.
Bill, I'm so glad that you're not an astronaut. I'm so glad that you and your loved ones aren't going to the planet. All right, it's 25 feet.
25.
25
They were
feet.
way out there.
But Steph Curry's...
What's the old school college three line?
21.
I think it was 19.9.
19.9. Okay.
I think it was 19.9.
All right, so
I'm glad you're not an astronaut either.
Trust me, NASA's glad also. Remember, when you're a coach, minus Morgan Scally,
okay.
Most coaches really have a hard time, Bill, in mathematics.
Well, math is hard.
Yeah, most times. So, Bill, I wasn't really a scholar in, let's say, algebra or trigonometry. Geometry. But I do know one thing right now, that the short corner three is 22 feet, and you have to guard it in the NBA.
All right. I want to get some quick hitters on the other big draft names, but aside from Darren Peterson, you tell me, was there anybody else that really showed for this summer for the Utah Jazz that impressed you? I don't.
No, the answer is no. No.
Are you worried about Cody Williams?
There's mixed result. The answer is I'm worried, yes, because he should be better than he is.
Right, right.
He's gotten stronger, but as the 10th pick of the draft, you need more.
Okay.
You need like that tenacity. Okay, I'm 6'7" and a half. I'm maniacal. I'm guarding this guy. I'm ducking on a guy's noggin. I'm making rainbow threes. I'm give and go cutting in a game.
Just do one thing really well, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to do a lot of things well. He's not his brother. We know that. But a second full season, this is his third summer.
Yeah, third summer.
Third summer going into it. I can't find one thing that he does well right now. One thing that if Will Hardy said, I need to put him in the game to do this, I'm not sure what that would be right now, Gordy. And that's the part that's a little troubling, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
You have to either guard or you have to make threes. Either or.
Not
both.
Quick hitters. A.J. DeBonsa.
Tremendous. Absolutely. The Rocker Gibraltar. Ultra-talented. He's going to help the Wizards, again, improve.
What did you see? Just give me a thought on what you saw from him in Summer League.
That he can create his own shot and that he can rebound in traffic and bust out dribble and make a play. He's a willing passer. I love his game. And the Wizards, I know the Wizards, Bill, the Wizards have not won 50 games, Bill, since 1979. Let's put it in context, Bill, in your illustrious life. You finished KU after many years of struggling, Bill, in 1992. So, Bill, you have so the Wizards / Washington Bullets, if I remember right, have not won 50 games since 1979. Let's put in political
Bobby
world.
Dandridge,
Bobby
Kevin
Dandridge,
Greavy, Elvin Hayes.
Wes Unseld.
Yeah.
All right. In jazz basketball, it was a rarity. The Jazz did win 50 games in that era. They won 50 all the time. So let's put it in context. So AJ is going to try to help with his trusted sidekicks. Now, Bill, the problem is Trae Young. All right. See,
he doesn't play winning basketball, Gordy.
I like his talent, but there's something missing so far.
A conscience.
All right. So the question is, with AJ, will they let him eventually? It'll be his team. The question is when.
All right.
That's it.
Let's quick hitters here. These are quick hitters.
All right.
So we've already talked about Boozer, DeBonsa, and Darren Peterson. Caleb Wilson.
Do you like Kevin Garnett? Do you like James Worthy? That's AJ Wilson. Bulls, 4th pick of the draft, absolutely tremendous. I love his game. He's bouncy. He can make threes. He can score, and that guy does it with a smile.
Keaton Vogler.
Underrated. The 5th pick by the Clippers. All-around player from Illinois. He's been well-schooled, and he will help the Clippers.
Did he have a good summer league? Or did he get better as summer went on?
He got better as summer went on. I just love his talent.
Darius Acuff.
Very good. Create his own shot. Absolutely. Very good.
Kingston Flemings.
Okay, winning game. He's been challenged in practice. I'm positive.
He's kind of the opposite at point guard from what Trae Young was, right?
Yeah.
Much more of a willing passer.
Yes,
Is that because of where he played and who he played for?
Very much.
Okay.
I mean, Kelvin Sampson, who's now coach University of Houston Cougars, which goes against BYU and the Utes right now. When you have a guy from Houston that you know that they've been challenged in practice, so for them to run back on defense is no big deal.
All right, just of all the summer league that you watched, and you didn't watch as much as you have in years gone by, but you watched a lot.
So who are your sources?
I'm just guessing you're not watching the same amount that you used to when you used to coach in it. Anyway,
what are you talking about?
Okay.
I was my loving wife had an attitude towards me about I thought you retired.
The lovely and talented Nancy.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
but, yeah.
I would.
All right,
Much better half. She was probably golfing anyway.
Oh,
so you could watch plenty while she was out golfing with the girls.
With her sidekicks.
Give me a player. Somebody we haven't talked about that really impressed you in Summer League.
That's easy. L.A. Lakers, Cameron Carr.
Okay.
Oh, very much.
The Baylor Bear. I saw him play for Baylor. He was a good player at Baylor.
Got that right. He got some talent. He can make threes. He's going to play for the Lakers. I know the Lakers are, what's the word? They're in a crossroads right now. But he's very good. At pick number 24, are you kidding me? He's got an NBA game. He's ready.
All right, let's grab a break. We're going to come back. Obviously, there's been a lot of other stuff going on in the NBA. LeBron, he's He's a Philadelphia 76er. He's just bouncing again. So we'll talk a little bit about that, what that means to the dynamic overall in the league and more. By the way, they're apparently finalizing a deal, LeBron and his people with ESPN, to follow him around all year long for a documentary. They're trying to say this is Last Dance-esque. Does anybody really think any documentary – and I like LeBron James, but there's nothing nearly as interesting and compelling about LeBron James as there was about Michael Jordan, because it's just a different time. You didn't have social media and constant cameras following you all the time and access. We didn't know much about Michael besides what we saw on game day and the rest of the Bulls. That's why that documentary was so interesting. In today's day and age, we know everything all the time about LeBron and athletes like LeBron. So I don't think comparing it to The Last Dance is probably the right way to go. Just my opinion. Anyway, we'll talk about the rest of the league coming up with Gordy. We'll have a list, which I don't know what it is just yet, and more coming up on a Thursday. Sean O'Connell Show, Bill Riley in for Sean today on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Gordy's in with us, and I'm in today, too. Bill Riley in for Sean O'Connell. We'll talk some football in the noontime hour. Actually, we'll talk football really after Gordy leaves. I've got a question out there for you guys today. Hit me up on the text line. If you have questions for Gordy about the Jazz or about the NBA, you can hit us up on the text line as well, too. I've got a bunch of text messages I still got to get to, whether it's college football, pro football, Jazz, NBA stuff. 877-353-0700. That's 877-353-0700 to get you on board. Bill Riley, Gordy Chiesa today here on ESPN 700. So I texted our good friend, our common friend, our good friend Tony Jones, and said, you get to cover the circus this year. Because, of course, our friend Tony is now covering the Philadelphia 76ers for The Athletic. And LeBron James is a member of the Philadelphia. That Philadelphia team was going to be good already, Gordy, with Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe. They added Jaylen Brown in that trade this summer. They got rid of Paul George, which I think was addition by subtraction. And when he plays, Joel Embiid's a really, really good basketball player. The thing is, you got to get him on the floor. But now you add LeBron James to that mix. What do you make of the Philadelphia 76ers and LeBron's decision to go to Philly?
That they're right there as far as contending in the East. So they're going to go against the Pistons, who won 60 games last year, the Celtics, who overachieved, and the world champion Knickerbockers, who really are a team. So it's going to be fascinating in the Eastern Conference who can come out of it as far as advancing to get to the NBA Finals. LeBron, here's the math about him. He turns 42 on December 30th. He's still in the top 12 players in the NBA. Will he fit in with the 76ers? The answer is yes, quickly. He should be the starting lineup for the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey, all-star, top of his game, tremendous talent, plays to win. At two guard should be VJ Edgecombe. Rookie team last year from Baylor, second-year player. Again, major talent, can score the ball both over the top as far as shooting the ball and in penetrating. At small forward, Jaylen Brown, second-team All-Pro last year. All-around player. He gets a do-over now with the 76ers mentally, and we'll see it. It should play out. LeBron James, I'll call him a point forward. Remember, last year he averaged 23 points a game and 8 rebounds and 7.3 assists. And in Joel Embiid, Bill mentioned about Joel Embiid's average for his career, 27 points a game for his career. So when he is healthy, it's great. Anthony Simons, off the bench, can score the ball. Kentavious Cole-Pope, all-around player, defensive-minded. Then they go Justin Edwards from Kentucky, who will be a third-year player that can make shots. Then they go also Dean Wade now, part of the Cavaliers last year, off the bench, knockdown shooter. And then as the backup center should be for Knickerbockers, a young guy, a German descent, Ariel Haporti, who played for the Knicks last year, and he'll back up Joel Embiid. So they're 10 deep right now. Can they do it? The answer is we're going to find out. But they're right there, the 76ers.
Taking health out of the equation, because you've got to be healthy to win this thing. You just do. If they lose Embiid or what, it's probably going to sideswipe you from being a champion. But what do you see as the biggest issue that Nick Nurse and the Sixers and this team have to deal with to win a championship, to contend in the East, to win that thing?
Share the ball.
Okay.
Yeah, share the ball. Absolutely. So they have a lot of players that are used to having the ball to make plays, and as far as assists. And now the question is, can you not have the ball and move without the ball? Meaning what? Screening action, back screen, spacing, rescreen, dribble handoff. Just making basketball decisions for the betterment of the team quickly. The last time that the Sixers won the championship, Bill, was 1983.
Yeah, Moses Malone, Mo Cheeks, Bobby Jones,
Dr.
J, Andrew Toney, one of my all-time favorite NBA players whose career was sidelined by injuries, but he was so good.
Mo Cheeks.
I said Mo Cheeks. Yep. I believe you had Caldwell Jones on that team. You had both the Joneses. No relation, Bobby and Caldwell,
no.
But it was Moses and Dr. J and Andrew Toney and Mo Cheeks. They were good. They beat, if I'm not mistaken, they beat the Houston Rockets, or did they beat the Lakers?
Rockets.
It was the Rockets, yeah.
And the last time they made the NBA Finals was 2001 with Allen Iverson.
Yeah, that team had no chance because they were playing the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe and that team.
That too, right. So, again, the city of brotherly love. Remember, Bill, the time, Bill, that at an Eagles game, they booed Santa Claus and threw
I do.
icicles, ice balls at Santa Claus. Bill, what kind of city is this?
I got hit with an ice ball once at Mile High Stadium by a Broncos fan when I was down on the sideline. I was battling the flu. It was the end of a game. The Jaguars were getting pummeled by the Broncos.
What was her name?
I don't know if it was a him, if it was
think
a
it was a
her.
female.
It probably could have been. I was in a trench coat in the snow, and somebody nailed me in the back of the head with an ice ball. I already had the flu. It was not a good day in Denver that day.
I see you toughed it out.
So me and Santa Claus have something in common, getting pelted by mad, angry, nasty football fans, Philadelphia fans and Bronco fans.
Very much so. Let's add to this. The intrigue right now with LeBron/Bill Riley as far as Philadelphia is that it's a typical East Coast city where they love, they're passionate about their team. The Knickerbockers, are you kidding me? Those guys won the championship for the first time since 1973. And Jalen Brunson and that crew, Mike Brown was the coach. They did a tremendous job as far as team building and playing as a unit.
It felt like everything fell in place and came together for the Knicks this year. Do you feel like they would have a second run, or was this year just kind of that perfect storm for them?
Perfect storm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, perfect storm.
Not that
for
they'll
them.
be bad, but if I was picking a title contender, I don't know if I would pick the Knicks, which is weird to say because they were dominant in the playoffs too. But it just kind of felt like everything just fell perfectly into place for them this year.
Good for them. They won 53 games last year. Now, if you're the Pistons, you're saying Kate Cunningham, their crew right now, and Jalen Duren are saying that we can, a year again of maturity. So much again. Here's the question as always for anybody that involved in sports. When does the maturity factor kick in for an individual player and a team? Is it 23 years old? Is it 27? Is it 31? Is it 34? Oh, by the way, is it never? That's the question.
Here's a question I have for you, though.
Okay.
Tight game, one possession down the stretch. Who's the closer for Philadelphia?
Therese Maxey.
So it's not Jaylen Brown?
No.
Does somebody going to have to tell him that? Because I think he probably thinks it is.
Yes, it
Does
is.
LeBron James think he's the closer still?
Yes.
Okay. Well, isn't that a problem if you're Nick? There's something you probably have to address early in the season. So
Very much.
when those occasions come up, because I agree with you, Tyrese Maxey is a closer. But I can see why Jaylen Brown would think he would be. And LeBron James is maybe the second best player in the history of the game. He probably thinks he could be too.
Correct. And also, Joel Embiid, give me the ball, a low block. I can score against anybody in the world, and he can. And that's the power of coaching. Now, Nick Nurse, that guy, in a good way, is a wild card coach. He used to deal it's a compliment. Remember, in the NBA/NFL, you can't be like normal. You have to be like this sort of like edgy person that's a great communicator, but you're like edgy, where the players really don't know what you're going to say to them the next moment, and that is good. That is absolutely good. And that's how you communicate, and that's why Nick Nurse, he's ready for this challenge. Now, the question is, will the players listen? Sometimes, Bill, that players, I call, have invisible earmuffs. They're yesing you. They're saying, they're nodding, yes, they are, making a verbal nod, but they're not really listening. They're hearing you, but they're not really listening.
All right, we've got to grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. A few other NBA happenings. We got a list of the day, a couple of text messages for Gordy as well. If you have one, Gordy would love to hear from you. So would I. 877-353-0700 is the text number. Sean O'Connell Show, Hour 1 done. On to Hour 2 next, right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Hour 2, OC's out today. Riles in with Gordy as we talk some NBA stuff.
And Niles Barkley, Bill. And Bill, I know that you were here. James Pierce and I, our colleague, we decided that we had to have some songs, your personality. So, of course, you and Niles Barkley, Crazy.
That's another one of your songs.
No, Bill, I don't want to go there, Bill. I don't want to talk about my playlist.
You've got a great playlist,
Bill,
by the way. It's
I'm
very diverse. 60s, 70s, 80s,
90s,
current times.
Bill, the Beastie Boys.
What were you listening to during your workout this morning? The Beastie Boys are great. I saw them a couple of times in concert.
Yeah, Smart worked out to the Beastie Boys.
You did?
Yeah, and also...
Was it like a mix? Was it a particular album? Maybe Paul's Boutique? Maybe Licensed to Ill? What was it?
No, Licensed to Ill.
That's,
part of it.
That's the OG right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the OG.
But also...
I
Bill,
wore that cassette tape out, by the way, Gordy.
This is why, Bill, you're successful and I'm a starving artist.
You are not. You are not a starving artist.
But speaking of not starving artists, Bill, Rowley, LeBron, let's quickly, here's a short mini list about as far as...
Wait, is this our list?
No.
Okay, this is just a mini list. You brought two lists in today?
In your honor.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so this is the all-time career on-court salary leaders in the NBA. How much money you made in your career, the top 10 in the NBA.
Just from your salary.
Just
This
salary.
is not endorsements and everything else.
That's
okay.
correct. All right, and here's the question to you, Bill, and all listeners right now in ESPN 700 driving in a car. Do you think this money that these players made are worth the money?
Okay.
That's the question. Number 10 all-time, Anthony Davis made in his career $365 million in 13 seasons.
No.
Okay. Number 9.
He's injured too much. That's his problem. But my answer for him is no.
Number 9 all-time, Dame Lillard, Weber State, 13 years. Dame's made $365 million.
I will say yes because he was the face of the Portland Trail Blazers and he was their marquee franchise guy for so many years.
Agreed. Number 8 all-time, Jimmy Butler, 14 years, $366 million.
No. He's often injured and he's a little
moody.
Odd.
Odd.
Odd and moody.
Remember, if your most player, besides your point guard, if your best player is moody, your whole team is moody.
Okay.
Bill, the guy selling hot dogs is moody in the 27th row. The marketing director is moody because the star player, quote, is moody.
Okay.
All right, number 7 all time, 15 years in the NBA. And let's say, Bill, right now, there's a lot of controversy about him. Kawhi Leonard, he's made in his career $375 million.
This is a tough one because
one championship?
Got a championship in Toronto. Didn't he get one in San Antonio as well?
Yes, in 2014.
So he's got 2 championships.
No, he lost in 2014.
Oh, he lost in 2014.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no.
No, pardon me. He won in 2014.
Yeah.
My apologies. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's got 2.
My apologies. 1.
I will say this. He hasn't been good as the face of a franchise. Does that make sense?
Very much.
He had the one good year in Toronto, but in the other stops like the Clippers and some other places where they've expected him to kind of be that face, I'm going to say as much as I like the player, and I remember I called his games when he was at San Diego State in the Mountain West playing Utah, I never thought he would be this player. I'm going to say no on Kawhi Leonard. What will you say?
Agreed. No. Number 6 all time in the NBA for 20 years, just retired, Chris Paul. He's made in career earnings $404 million.
I'm not the biggest Chris Paul fan. Spence Checketts loves Chris Paul. Loved him. Didn't ever win a championship. He's got an odd personality too, but I always felt like he was a good leader for whatever team he was on. So I'm going to say yes on Chris Paul.
Yes, so will I. Number 5, Paul George.
No.
6. Why didn't you finish it?
No.
Wait, you're so emotional.
You could say $12.77, and I would say no on Paul George.
Well, I'm saying right now, $406 million.
And where's that put him on the list?
5th all time.
Oh my gosh, that's criminal.
I like it. Bill Riley is talking about criminality.
What do you say?
Agreed.
Okay.
Number 4 all time. I love getting Bill Riley fired up.
Okay.
Like I'm fired up. James Harden, $411 million in 16 seasons.
No.
Agreed.
No.
All right, number 3.
You know what? One of the great what ifs of all time, though. What if Oklahoma City would not have traded him or they didn't trade him. They let him go. They let him walk.
They couldn't play him because they paid Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, who was a nice player, but for all the credit that Sam Presti gets, but I would have loved to see he and Durant and Westbrook. I mean, you want to talk about a team. I don't know how
Nick Collison.
And Nick Collison, your guy who you coached in Seattle.
Yep.
And they had some other good players, too. I just would have loved to seen if that team stayed together. I think they might have won a championship.
Agreed.
Okay. A big no, though, on James Harden.
Okay, number 3. The world's greatest shooter of all time, both off the dribble, stationary.
You don't even have to tell me the number here.
Steph Curry, in 16 years, he's made, as far as career earnings, $470 million.
You could have told me, you could have doubled that number and said he made $940 million, and I would have still said he was underpaid. Steph Curry, you can't you could ask, is it the Lakers that own the Warriors?
Yes.
You could ask Joe Lacob and his family, and they would tell you whatever we have paid him isn't nearly enough. So yeah, the answer is yes on Steph Curry.
Number 2 all time.
Would you agree?
I agree,
Yeah.
100%. Remember, and Bill's alluding to it, besides the winning, it's the signage, the whole thing about him as far as economic wherewithal with the franchise.
The people he has brought to the game of basketball, that he has put butts in the seats.
Jersey selling.
In Jersey, I mean, it's everything. He has been an ambassador for the game and for the Warriors, all of it. So, yes, on Steph Curry.
Number 2 all time. Kevin Durant, in 18 years, he's made $501 million.
This one's tougher. Durant is a weirdo. He is. He's just one of those. He's a fantastic basketball player. He really plays one end of the floor. He's picked his spots career-wise where situationally he'll play a little defense. He is a mercenary. Wouldn't you say that? He is a hired gun. He is a mercenary. Whether it was Oklahoma City or Golden State, the Brooklyn thing was always the weird thing to me. He left a dynasty to go to Brooklyn.
With Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, those two are made for each other. Although I will say Alex Jensen loves Kyrie Irving. He coached him in Dallas, thinks Kyrie is a bit misunderstood, great basketball player. How much did Kevin Durant make?
$501 million. Second all time.
$500 million.
Yes.
He's got, what,
Two
championships.
With the Warriors, led by his sidekick.
And they were never his team.
Yeah,
that was Steph. I'd even tell you it was Clay and Draymond. He may have been the second best player, but he was the fourth banana on that team.
Correct.
I'll say no on Kevin Durant.
Okay. I'm going to lean towards
a slight yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm leaning to yes. And the number 1 player of all time, we all know, we talked about him recently, a few minutes ago. 23 years in the NBA, LeBron James has made career-wise salary $581 million. $581.
It's a resounding yes. LeBron
yes.
James is, whether you like him or don't like him, what's funny to me, Gordy, about even the 70s, he's always getting accused of chasing the ring. Isn't that what everybody does? Doesn't everybody want to play with good players and do things like that? He showed early in his career his greatness when he carried that Cleveland Cavaliers team that had no business. Was it 07? They went to the championship, that 07 team.
Lost to the Spurs.
Yeah, they had no business being there. It was like Booby Hobbs and
Sasha Pavlovich.
Was it Booby Hobbs?
Gibson.
Booby Gibson. Booby Hobbs played for Utah. Yeah, but there aren't a lot of boobies in sports. I got my boobies mixed up. Don't cut that, James.
I worry about you.
Leave that alone.
Bill, I worry about you.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. And what he's done, I mean, he's not the greatest player of all time. He's probably had the greatest lengthy career. I mean, the level he's playing at and his career earnings are $560 million. Is that what it is?
581. And
he's taken 3.8 this year. I mean, yeah. LeBron James absolutely positively worth every penny that he's earned that the Cavs, the Lakers, the Heat, and now the Sixers have paid him.
All right, quickly, just former Jazz players. There's 4 names. Rudy Gobert made in his career in 12 seasons $295 million. $295. Worth it?
Yes.
Okay.
he is what he is. I mean, you're not expecting Rudy to score 25 a game. Rudy is an elite rebounder and rim protector. And by the way, screener, and he was a better teammate than people gave him credit for. Donovan Mitchell was the problem here, not Rudy Gobert. We know that now. We didn't know that at the time, but that's the deal. So $295 million over how many years?
12 years.
Yeah, I think that's fair for Rudy Gobert.
All right, Mike Conley, 25th all time, right behind him.
Really?
Mike Conley, yeah. 19th season in the NBA. It's the first thing he made for his career. And he's a Celtics right now. 295 also.
I like Mike Conley a lot. He's a really good guy, and he seems like a good teammate. I'm not sure that he's worth $295 million.
Just two more. Former Jazz people. Number 31 all-time career earnings. Kevin Love in 17 seasons.
Are you really counting Kevin Love as a Jazz guy?
Absolutely. 1 year. Absolutely.
Okay.
Kevin Love, 277.
No. He was a good player with the T-Wolves early in his career. Helped Cleveland win that title with LeBron.
Yep.
But I don't think he's worth $277 million. Do you?
No. But I like his game.
And injuries kind of, his body kind of broke down after a while.
And the last one is this person, the 33rd highest ever career earnings, former Jazz man for 9 seasons. I'm prefacing this. Gordon Hayward. In the NBA, 14 years, he made $270 million.
No.
All right, so.
You?
No, I agree.
No. Gordon Hayward was just a
one-time also.
Good NBA player. I'm not begrudging him making the money. He didn't put that gun to anybody's head and say, you've got to pay me this. They paid him the money, but he's just a good NBA basketball player.
There's so much of the economics of it is the timing of your career, like when you played and what the team needed, and are you coming off a stellar season, and the year before that team let a good player go because they were arguing over a $5 million increase. So the following year, you're the benefactor of it. Well, last year we let a guy go that we regret now. We've got to sign this guy. And that's so much as I call it circumstantial as far as beneficial to your career. So that's my mini list today. I wanted to see what people thought of it. LeBron James, though, with the 76ers now. Bill, I read a thing about it also. There's 21 players in college basketball that make more money than LeBron James this year.
I saw that article, too.
NIL money. So LeBron makes this year the lowest you can get in a year, which is LeBron, he's making $3.88 million. There's 21 guys make more money in NIL money in college basketball.
Go back to your days of coaching in the Big East with the Providence Friars.
Yes.
Who would have been the highest paid player NIL-wise when you were coaching in the Big East?
Okay.
Derek Coleman?
Yeah, Derek Coleman, second pick of the draft.
Patrick Ewing?
Absolutely. Patrick Ewing.
You tell
Chris Mullin.
Tell me the guy that you think would have gotten the most.
Patrick.
Oh,
yeah. Patrick Ewing. Yeah.
Okay.
Patrick. Well deserved. And Patrick Ewing right now, ironically, is now assistant coach of the Wizards. He's in the coach, AJ DeBoncer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So talk about going full circle in life. Bill, I love getting you fired up right now. I mentioned a few guys' names, Bill. You have your game face on. You have your Utah 4th and 1 at the goal line. You're describing it as the tackle makes a great block and the running back tiptoes in.
By the way, don't ever take the ball. When you've got a quarterback like Devin Dampier, don't ever take the ball out of his hands on 4th and short.
Okay, I like it.
I'm not saying he has to carry it, but I'm saying he has to touch it and make the defense react to him.
Okay.
Would you agree? Do you ever take the ball out of Michael Jordan's hand and use him as a decoy?
No. The answer is absolutely no.
No, when you've got a star player, you get, especially at a quarterback spot, you make sure that they have the ball in their hands and let them make the decision.
You just described Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, him too. Got a text question for you, Gordy. Matt sends this in today. Says, Gordy, what did Sloan do during Summer League?
Okay. He observed.
Yeah.
He was in the stands observing.
It was Salt Lake Community College back in those days. He would sit up in the stands because I was sitting in the stands too.
Yeah, he'd observe it, and he would take some either visual notes or mental notes about the players, and after the game, he'd come in the locker room, and he would address the team and just talk to them for a few minutes about what they should keep working on.
What did you do during summer league?
Okay, I used to coach the team
Yep.
for all those years, for 16 years, and we used to get the guy. Again, we always talked about your job is to try to. So the question is philosophically, how can we as coaches showcase your talent, individual talent, within what? A team game. That's the question. So when we say to you, swing the ball from side to side, on the second side of the floor, that's a great chance for you to go organized one-on-one. And that's the reason we always say organized one-on-one. And that gives a great chance for the rebounders to carve out space to offensive rebound to showcase what? Their serious hops or what? Their attitude to rebound in traffic. Defensively, can you guard your own man and can you play help-to-help with defense? So that's what we talked about all the time in Summer League. It transferred over to what? Game skills with the real team, the varsity, meaning what? Utah Jazz.
Did you enjoy coaching summer league?
Oh, very much, yeah. Because you know that a lot of times your career, the career of a player, you putting him in a game and encourage him. One time, we'll say with it was Howard Isley, where he struggled with his young player. He struggled in a summer league game where he couldn't make a shot. I remember saying to him, "I am not taking you out of this game. You're gonna fight through this," and he did. And then suddenly in that fourth quarter, he goes 5 for 5. It helps him give confidence, but more importantly, you remember, besides your own team looking at you, there's other 29 teams and European teams that are looking at you to see if you can play for them. So it's way beyond just the one team. It's the whole league watching you. It's a pretty intense.
Another text question in here. This one comes in and says, Gordy, with almost every star moving in today's game, Steph is on his last year. Do we think Steph is on his last year? Do we think he leaves or retires with Golden State?
Golden State retires.
Yeah, he's not going to play. If he was going to play someplace else, I think he would have done that by now.
By now, yeah, exactly. So the last 2-3 years, the Warriors, they won in 22, which is really a great accomplishment. So now this is already the 26-27 season. He's there right now, and I hope he stays really, truly. And I think that Cooper Flagg would also stay with the Mavs because he's going to be the face of the franchise. And then Bill, the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, Stephen Castle, Dylan Harper, that crew, if they should do everything possible to keep those guys together, because all three of those guys are young people. They have winning games, and all three play in harmony and rhythm. And that's what makes the Spurs so interesting.
Do you think Steve Kerr retires when Steph Curry retires?
Well, there are 2 years left on his contract. He resigned it, and he's the highest paid coach in the NBA at $17 million a year. He's worth it. I think he will.
I just don't feel like he would want to stick around for a rebuild.
No, he wouldn't.
I mean, you're going to – Draymond signed a 1-year deal. Right. Steph's got a year or so left. Yeah. I kind of feel like –
Well, Steph's got 2 years left.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, but they just kind of walk off together. What do you expect?
Very much, yeah. And as far as the mathematics of it, Steve Kerr, he was born in '65, so right now he's 61 years. Bill, young, emphasize young. So if he does stay for 2 years, he'll be 863. Bill, in this generation, that's a young man still.
Okay. Do you have another list, or was that your only list you brought today?
I have another list, Bill, and I knew this purposely because you and James Peterson. This is our annual list, Bill. I'm so happy you're here today for a lot of reasons. All right, here we go, quickly. And listen to it right now. You're driving I-15. You're in traffic. Think about us here in the studio. Fun, and yell out the name and beep the horn. Fun nicknames of former or present NBA players.
Okay.
Fun nicknames.
Nicknames.
Yes. Some of the nicknames are self-anointed, I might add. So here we go, Bill. You and James Peterson. First nickname, Big Ticket. Who is it?
The big ticket is why is this
Kevin Garnett?
Kevin Garnett,
Correct.
yeah.
Agreed. The Worm.
That's Dennis Rodman.
Zebo.
Zach Randolph.
Correct. The Bosnian Beast.
Nurkic.
Correct.
Yusuf Nurkic.
Who calls him that?
Everybody who's self-anointed also. I call him the Bosnian Beast.
You do?
Of course,
okay.
Yes. The Kangaroo Kid.
Kangaroo Kid.
You know him. Bill, you're famous. He's famous. Yesteryear.
Kangaroo Kid.
He could jump. He could sky in the Hall of Fame.
Billy Cunningham.
Oh,
Billy
David
Cunningham.
Really?
Yeah, Kangaroo Kid. Uncle Jeff.
That's Jeff. He's Tony Jones's guy, the guy from Georgetown.
Jeff Green.
Jeff
Correct.
Green, yeah.
All right, Flash.
Ben Gordon?
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
Oh, Flash, yeah.
The Great Wall.
Yao Ming?
Correct. I love it. See, don't you love basketball? All right, the Bald Mama.
Alex Caruso.
Alex Caruso.
Who gave him that nickname?
Bill, again, I love your attitude. I love it. Bill,
I like Alex Caruso
Bill,
as a player, but
self-anointed. Bill, people have nicknames.
was he the
hey.
Bald
Caruso
Mamba or the
more
White
often.
Mamba?
No, bald.
Bald Mamba?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it somebody a White Mamba too?
Yeah, that's Diana Taurasi.
What?
WNBA.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, Bill,
I mean, she was friendly with Kobe, but
hey, whatever. The chef. Chef, because he's always cooking.
Chef Curry.
Chef Curry, yeah.
That's exactly right. Birdman.
Anderson,
Chris Anderson. The Dream.
Olajuwon,
Okay. I'm building up your confidence here. Human highlight film.
Dominique Wilkins,
Good. See, Bill, I'm trying to get your confidence up. We're a little shaky before. The Joker.
Jokovic,
D-Book. D-Book.
Booker,
That's right. Devin Booker,
Devin
of
Booker?
the Suns. The Custodian.
Brian Cardinal,
That's
right?
right. Brian Cardinal. Sweet Lou.
Lou Williams.
You got that
What
right.
about the minivan?
George Niang. All right. Iceman.
George Gervin.
Bill, again, I'm trying to get your confidence. Are you a little shaky right now?
Famous
Am I?
Georges who played
Am I?
basketball, right?
You're a little shaky.
Okay.
That's right. I'm trying to help you. The Glove.
Gary Payton.
Ice Tray.
Ice Tray?
Yeah, Ice Tray.
Trae Young.
Trey Young. Half
I'm not
mi-
sure he's earned that.
I don't
Again,
think he has either.
self-anointed. You guys have an attitude about this because this is self-anointed. This is social media. This is 2026. Quickly, here we go. Half man, half amazing. You know him. You know him. You guys know him.
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter.
Vinsanity.
Half man, half amazing.
Okay.
Self-anointed.
Okay.
Uncle Drew.
That's Kyrie Irving.
You got it. Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Butler?
Correct. Houdini of the Hardwood.
Bob
Bob
Cousy?
Cousy.
Correct. Dr. Duncanstein.
Daryl Griffith.
Okay, just a few more. Truck.
Leonard Truck Robinson.
Correct. Bill, I like your confidence.
I gave you his first name even. Leonard.
Right.
Most people just called him Truck.
All right. Red Velvet. In the NBA right now.
I don't know.
Oh, is that Kevin Herter?
Correct. Haven't heard it. See, James Peterson is an historian.
I don't know how I know these. Seriously.
All right.
Kevin Herter doesn't even deserve a nickname.
Bill, I love your attitude. Your game
Does
face
not
on.
deserve
I
a
wish
nickname.
Utah playing right now. Get the Utah on the phone football right now. You should be the middle
5
linebacker.
weeks from today, I'm ready to go.
All right, the Slim Reaper. Reaper.
Oh, it's
You know him. We just talked about him.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Here's the
Also
last
the
one.
servant.
The
Weird
last one. All right. Mad Dog.
Mark Madsen.
That's exactly right. Head
Former
coach.
UVU Wolverine head coach.
And also-
Former Utah Flash.
That's exactly right. Thus, Bill Riley.
Now head coach of the Cal Bears.
That's right, Cal Berkeley. Thus, Bill Riley. That is my list of today. I'm so happy that you have this attitude towards self-anointed players given their own nickname. Amen, cousin.
Amen, Gordon Chiesa. Gordy, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. You cannot. I know. I know exactly what you're saying. This stuff you cannot make up. I agree.
You
This is
cannot
authentic.
make this stuff up. He is my good friend and the great Gordon Chiesa. Always a thrill to have him on board. 2 lists today. Wow. It's
Thanks,
a big
Bill.
day.
Peace out.
Peace out to you, Gordy. We're going to talk some college football coming up on the other side. Get you back on the text line as well, 877-353-0700. Halfway home here. Where does time go? Time doesn't exist. Here or, I don't know, on the west side. Sean O'Connell Show, Bill Riley sitting in on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Thank you so much to Gordy Chiesa for coming in for an hour today. Always good to catch up with Gord, one of my really, really, really good friends. I love conversing with him on air, but even more so off air. So it's good to have him in today here on ESPN 700. We're halfway home, a little past the halfway mark on this Thursday. Filling in for Sean today. Ryan Leaf is going to join us at the top of the hour, college football insider. I am a big Ryan Leaf fan. He's doing a ton of Pac-12 football this year, but we'll get his thoughts on the Big 12 and other stuff as he will join us. And then we're going to kind of look at one of Utah's early season opponents that it's hard to get a read on where they are right now just because Quinn Grovey's going to join us. He's the Arkansas color analyst. He was a former Razorback football player, been part of the broadcast team for a while. I don't know what to make of this Arkansas team. It's an entirely new team from a year ago. Players roster was depleted because of the firing and guys moving on, as is the case of the portal, and got a new coaching staff and kind of a new outlook there. But how good are they going to be in the second game of the season? So we're going to talk to Quinn Grovey about that. I'll talk to you guys about anything on your mind college football related. I've asked a couple of questions of you today. And this doesn't – I've asked it specific to Utah because that's the team that I cover most, and we're the home of the Utes here on ESPN 792.1 FM. But if you're a BYU fan and you want to work this into the Cougars or any other fan team you're a fan of, outside of the quarterback position, which we always know has the most impact on on-field success, which position group are you expecting to have the biggest impact on on-field success this year for Utah? Is it wide receivers? Is it offensive line? Is it corners? Is it linebackers? Is it running backs? Whatever. Quarterback is off to the side, so what's the other position group for you? 877-353-0700 is your text number to get in and on board today here on the Sean O'Connell Show. I said for me, I think for Utah to have great on-field success this year outside of quarterback, I think their defensive line needs to step forward and be impactful. Can they rush the quarterback with four the way they did a year ago when they had John Henry Daly on one side and Logan Fano on the other? How much better is that defensive? They spent a lot of equity in the transfer portal shoring up the defensive tackle position. How much better is that going to be this year for Utah? They brought in three big transfers. They bring some guys back like Kafusi and Sepulona Pupu. So how much better are they going to be up front? Because I think they need to, if Utah is going to be good defensively, I think that line has to be good. I know a lot of people have told me already on the text line today that the offensive line, but I've said this. I think the offensive line is going to be solid this year. I do. I don't know what their ceiling is, but I think they're a high-floor group with Jordan Gross coaching that group. Obviously, they were such a high-ceiling group last year with all the guys that are playing in the NFL or on NFL rosters now. So I'm going D-line, but I'd be curious what you guys think. Which is the position group that will impact Utah's on-field success the most this year outside of the quarterback position? 877-353-0700. And I also threw out some camp questions I had. Who's going to play cornerback opposite of Scooby Davis? Who's going to be the nickel or slot corner? How quickly does the offensive line come together? And another big question for me, it's not so much about individuals. I'm just very curious to see what Kevin McGivern's pass game looks like. Kyle Whittingham used to call it the throw game. What's the pass game look like this year? And some of that might be predicated on how quickly the offensive line comes together, because if you can give Devin time to go downfield, does Kevin McGivern like to take more downfield shots maybe than a guy like Jason Beck did last year? So let me know. Text line's open to you, 877-353-0700. That will get you in and on board today here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley filling in. And share some college football thoughts you have with me. Utah-related, BYU-related, Big 12-related, national college football thoughts that you might have today. Feel free to share them. 877-353-0700 to get you in and on board today here on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Text message. Hey, Bill, this is Kraft. Hey, Kraft. Defensive line is my answer. Good to hear your voice, Bill. Well, thank you, Kraft. It's good to be here. Text message in from Ryan. He says, hey, Bill, this is Ryan. I called in yesterday and talked to Sean and told him my predictions was the Utes would go undefeated. I didn't even know they took telephone calls anymore. Maybe I'll open the phone lines up. Ha! Text lines open to you today, 877-353-0700. I still feel strongly they will, especially if they stay healthy and everything goes well for the team this year. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the defense has got to be especially the linebackers. They've got to be really good for them to be great. That's a bold prediction, certainly, Ryan. As you guys know that have listened to me for a long time, I never, ever predict anybody to go undefeated because it's too improbable. This just doesn't, even though Utah's done it twice in the last 20 years, it just doesn't happen very often. But I've said here on these airwaves, I've said on my podcast, I think the ceiling for Utah this year could be an 11-1 season. If, again, everything comes together and clicks, and if they stay healthy. Those are some big ifs because football season is tough. I did say this earlier. I think the low end for Utah is probably a 9-3 season. Somebody said 7-5. I think that would be pretty low, to be very fair for Utah. I just think with the schedule they've got and the talent they've got, I think this team is better than it would be better than a 7-5 team. It would be. 877-353-0700. Shoot me a text. Love to hear from you today. I don't get to talk to you as often as I used to. Gage Martinez says, position group? How about both lines of scrimmage? That's not one position group, Gage. But, yeah, the lines are going to be important. If you had to pick one, though, Gage, which way would you go? I asked for a position group, not two position groups, if that makes sense. Charles Sorensen. Hey, Charles. Charles says, hey, Bill. I think the O-line and D-line should be included with the quarterback. If any of these three is bad, the team and the season will follow. Well, that wasn't my question, though, today. My question isn't if they're bad. Which position group outside of quarterback will impact Utah's on-field success the most? Yeah, all position groups impact success. That's why football is the ultimate team sport. Yeah, can you cover up a bad position group? Yeah. But I'm not asking about being bad. I'm asking outside of quarterback, which position group will have the greatest impact on on-field success for Utah? So if you want to say offensive line, that's fine, or defensive line, that's fine. Charles goes on to say, beyond those three, I think defensive backfield is crucial. I have zero concerns about the offense. Well, that's good. I have questions. I don't necessarily have concerns, if that makes sense. 877-353-0700. Get you in and on board today. Lincoln from Saratoga Springs. What's up, Lincoln? Says, I think running backs will have the biggest impact on controlling the clock and protecting leads. Not a bad call. It's a good running back room, too. Wayshawn Parker, probably your I don't know if bell cow back is the right way to go anymore in today's just football in general. To me, the bell cow back always implied that you're probably going to get 25 or 30 carries, maybe 35 carries a game. I think Wayshawn is definitively your running back one, though. Then I'm going to be really interested to see how Kevin McGivern employs the other running backs, meaning Daniel Bray, Steven Chavez Soto, Nate Johnson. But, yeah, I would say Wayshawn running back one. If I had to say today, I would probably say Bray, based on experience in the program, and he had a good spring. And then maybe Chavez Soto after that. Zach Nolan. Hey, Zach. I think it's the linebacker group. They have to be better against the run. You're not wrong about that. But that kind of goes hand in hand with those defensive tackles because the tackles occupy the blockers. And then the blockers, once they're occupied, that allows those linebackers to flow and make the plays. If those tackles don't hold up those offensive linemen, those guards and tackles and centers, and those guys get to the second level, that makes it tougher on the linebackers. Jackson chiming in today from Kaysville. Jackson says the secondary is going to be much better tackling group this year. Less big plays given up. It'll be noticeable. Is that Jackson Benny? I don't think so. It'll be interesting to see how the secondary is, though. Because, again, as far as corners go, Scooby Davis is really your most proven corner. And that's okay. They're bringing in some guys that had experience at the group of five level. Guys like Elijah Reed, guys like James Chenault. Those are probably your two most obvious choices to play opposite on the outside. Rock Caldwell, second year in the program. J.C. Hart, second year in that program. So it'll be interesting to see. That's one of the things I'm going to watch early on. Martin says, option 2 receivers, tight end need to be key weapons. No, you're not wrong about that, Martin. Absolutely. Morgan Scally has said one of the deepest position rooms he's had in a long time, that wide receiver room. Tight end's going to be interesting, too, because you've got just a variety of different kinds of tight ends that are in the program now. You don't have a Dalton Kincaid or a Brant Keithy per se. You've got the big rhino tight ends, the big dudes, the blockers that are kind of converted from other positions. Then you've got kind of the smaller guys that aren't necessarily traditional tight ends, like a Hunter Andrews. It's interesting to see how they work within this Kevin McGiven offense. 877-353-0700. Got the question of the day out there for you, but anything else is certainly fair game on the text line as well. So jump in and jump on with me right now if you want to. We'll read some more of those text messages. Ryan Leaf's going to join us in about 15, 20 minutes just after the top of the hour. We'll catch up with him, talk some college football with him. And then the insider from the Arkansas Razorbacks to give us a little insight on what's going on with the Hogs down Fayetteville as they bring in a new coaching staff this year. Hit me up. We'll get to that stuff coming up. By the way, the Road Home Apple Tree, helping Utah kids start school with their confidence. Over 200 kids at the Road Home need your help with back-to-school supplies, clothes, shoes, backpacks, and more. Utah's #1 sports talk inviting you to be a child advocate. You can find out more information about the Road Home Apple Tree at ESPN700sports.com or appletreeforkids.com for more information. Donate now. It's a really, really good cause. This station and Broadway Media have done a lot with that group for a long time. And helping kids go back to school, I don't know if you remember this. Going back to school sometimes is a tough thing to do, especially if you're going to a new school. And if you don't have the clothes or the school supplies, it can be really, really tough. Send those kids back to school with confidence and help out where you can. Get those school supplies for these kids and help them out where you can. ESPN700sports.com for more information. All right, more of your text messages coming up here in just a bit. We'll give you a daily dump on the other side. And then Ryan Leaf joining us in about 15 minutes or so as well. All right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley sitting in today on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Daily dump time here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Had Sean been in today, he probably would have led the show with this because it impacts his livelihood, his organization, the PFL, the Pro Fighting League, and Jake Paul's MVP promotions are merging. In fact, Jake Paul was just on sports. I guess his jaw's not broken anymore after Anthony Joshua pummeled him pretty good. Anyway, it'll have boxing as well as MMA. Jake Paul says he plans to make his MMA debut at some point as part of this new circuit. Okay. I will say this about Jake Paul. I'm not a huge fan by any means, but the guy knows how to promote himself, and the guy is a showman, and he's turned himself into a competent fighter. I don't think if he's fighting anybody that's active and good at what they do, he's probably going to win. But as was the example against Anthony Joshua, but he's turned himself into a competent person that can make some money, and he knows how to promote himself. So, yeah. So it's apparently merging with the PFL. So that I'm sure Sean will talk more about that. I'm sure he'll have more details on that when he returns next week. But that's the latest on that if you're into such things. UEFA. This is kind of big worldwide. And since we're just wrapping up kind of the soccer cycle of the World Cup, UEFA has said it's going to boycott all FIFA competitions, including the World Cup, after an emergency meeting on Thursday resolved to unequivocally reject FIFA President Gianni Infantino's plan to raise $20 billion of outside investment with a share sell-off to private equity. In other words, Infantino wants to basically sell off to private investors parts of the World Cup. Now, I'm not sure why you need to do this. The World Cup is very, very, very lucrative. Generally, when you do that, you are in need of an influx quickly of cash. And I don't know that FIFA and or the World Cup are, but he just sees this as a means to make even more money. Well, apparently, Germany, France, England, Spain, all of the major UEFA, that's the European nations, I think there's 55 all told, have basically said, we're not going to be part of this. And we will not compete, men's or women's World Cups. Now, you might say, well, what's that matter? World Cup's 4 years away. The Women's World Cup is next year. And if you don't have the major Europeans as part of it, the tournament doesn't mean what it is. Infantino apparently revealed earlier this week his plans to sell a stake in FIFA Forward Enterprises that would raise huge funds in exchange for influence over future World Cups, including broadcasting and commercial deals. He probably should have read the temperature in the room before he proposed this. Because if you don't have Germany, France, England, Spain, you don't have men's or women's World Cups. You just simply don't. So we'll see what happens with this story moving forward. It kind of has the same feel that the Super League proposal had a few years ago. And then that thing fizzled out pretty quickly. All right, a few more text messages. That daily dump brought to you by Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Cade Wortman says, hey, Bill, would love to hear your win and loss predictions for each week for the Utes. I'm not going to do that today, Cade. Might be another show. Maybe I'll do that on my podcast. What I will say to you, though, is I've said I think the Utah season ranges somewhere between 9-3 and 11-1. Again, assuming they don't suffer catastrophic injuries, I think the team is well positioned to be a very good team and compete for the Big 12 title this year. I feel the same way about BYU. I think that's probably BYU's range as well for the regular season. BYU has a much more difficult non-conference game this year in that they play Notre Dame in Provo, and Notre Dame might be the best team in college football. Talk about that coming up with Ryan Leaf. But I've kind of put that because I really believe in what Morgan Scalley's got going this year. I believe in the talent in the program. I believe in the staff that he's hired. I believe in the direction of the program. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Utah is 8-0 heading into the BYU game November the 7th against BYU. I've said this, too, on both my podcasts on these airwaves, too, Cade. I think the winner of the Utah-BYU game is likely to play Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. Texas Tech's schedule is very easy. They're a very good team with a very easy path. They don't have to play Utah or BYU in the regular season. Most all, if not all, of their tough games are in Lubbock. So, anyway. Stay tuned to the podcast, The Crimson Corner, or if I fill in again before the season begins, and maybe we'll do a week by week. 877-353-0700. JR says, hey, Bill, once Bronco exposes the defensive line and the Utah State beats Utah, you'll understand that it's the defensive line that needs help. Well, I've said I think the defensive line is the position group that will have the biggest influence on Utah's potential success this year outside of quarterback. I would be surprised if Utah State would be a team that would expose it, but we'll see what happens. Bronco Mendenhall, very good football coach. Text message in from Ricky. Ricky says, linebackers need to be good on the running game. Yes, they do. Trey Reynolds, Jonathan Hall, Cyrus Polu. I think they've got a good group of linebackers this year at Utah. I do. Connor in Syracuse says, defensive line will be the most important position group when it comes to success on the field. Since you already picked that, I'll go with the cornerback room. Reed or Chenault step up on the outside with Caldwell at the nickel. How they play will be a good indicator on how the defense will be. Not a bad prediction there, Connor. Not a bad prediction at all. I think the safeties are going to be really good, though. I love Jackson Benny. Jackson Benny, forgive me for saying this. I said this with Derek Odom on this week's edition of Under the Headset. It's a podcast series I'm doing with all the Utah staff, a lot of the new Utah staff this year. The Derek Odom episode dropped on Tuesday. Jackson Benny gives me Eric Weddle vibes. And I don't mean that he's going to have a 14-year career in the NFL and that he's going to be in the Ring of Honor as my friend Eric is. But what I love about Jackson is his versatility in the secondary. I don't think that there's a position in the secondary that Jackson Benny couldn't play. And that was how Eric Weddle was, too. Jackson could play the slot if they asked him to. He has. He can play outside at corner. He can play both safety positions. He is a crazy athlete. Good lineage, athletically, that Jackson Benny comes from. But I really like that Rabbit Evans is back and healthy. You've got Nate Ritchie in that secondary. You got another Nate Tillman in that secondary at safety. I think Utah's going to be – I think they're going to be really good at safety, and I think they've got a chance to be really good at corner, too. Connor, thanks for your text message. Appreciate it. 877-353-0700. We'll get you in and on board today here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley filling in. 2 hours down, by the way. Where does time go? Where does time go? Going to talk some college football here in the final hour of the program today. In about a half hour, we're going to check in on the Arkansas Razorbacks, Utah's second opponent, SEC team coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium. Quinn Grovey, their color analyst, will join us. But coming up next, old friend of the program. I'm happy to say I bought Ryan Leaf stock, or Ryan Stock Leaf, early. And he continues to have a great broadcasting career. We'll talk to Ryan coming up about the Utes, about the Cougars, about the Big 12. He's doing some Pac-12 football this year, too. All that stuff on the table and more. Coming up next, final hour of the Sean O'Connell Show, straight ahead, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. No Sean O'Connell today. Sean's out on assignment. So they've asked me to come sit in my old time slot, and I'm always happy to do it. Thanks to James and Jackie and Kurt and the entire crew here for letting me come back and fill in occasionally for Sean O'Connell. My day job allows me to do it as well. I thank my bosses up at the U for letting me come down and fill in from time to time, too. 5 weeks from today, Utah opens up its season against the Idaho Vandals. And then the Arkansas Razorbacks and then the Utah State Aggies come in before the conference season begins. Year one of Morgan Scalley's tenure as head coach. Also going to be year one of Ryan Leaf's tenure as lead college football analyst on USA Network for the Pac-12. Going back in time because his alma mater is still in the Pac-12. It's not quite the same Pac-12 Ryan played in or the same Pac-12 that Utah played in, but it's still a good football conference nonetheless. And good to have my friend Ryan Leaf join us here in my old time slot. How are you, Ryan?
What's up, Bill? How we doing?
I'm doing great. How's your summer been?
It's been hot. It's been long. I shouldn't say it's been long. They get shorter and shorter every year with my kids getting ready for school again. We just got back from Minnesota from a little work trip, but I brought the family along. It was like on this lake resort, so they had a lot of fun, and so did we. So, but I can see the wheels turning and football just around the bend.
How excited are you about your new gig with USA Network?
Oh, man, I'm through the roof. I don't know if I could be more grateful for the opportunity. You know, they've invested a lot in me as they've invested a lot in the Pac-12 conference. And Teresa Gould has done a tremendous job in those first 2 years of the conference rebuild. She knew exactly what she was trying to accomplish and build this new brand. And I feel like, to your point, they put together an incredibly competitive conference, one that is probably going to sit as the number one conference outside the Power Four that people would look at. And if that's the case, they'll have probably the best chance year in, year out of getting a college football playoff bid, which, listen, Washington State and Oregon State, they'll have a better chance at going to the college football playoff than they ever did in the old Pac-12. And so they'll be sitting in a pretty spot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's a terrific college football conference with those two schools you mentioned that were the holdovers from the old Pac-12, and then you sprinkle in some of the best of the others, some of the best from the Mountain West Conference. Utah State and some of the others that are sprinkled in there as well. The financial gain isn't quite what it was in the old days, but maybe that comes along at some point in time. But you know this, Ryan. The path is to get to the postseason, and the path is to get to the playoff. And now, if this thing expands to 24 teams, that opportunity becomes even greater for the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to that many teams, then you're talking about multiple teams possibly from the conference. But as it sits right now, you know that fifth conference champion is an automatic bid, and the Pac-12 is certainly going to be at the top of that list in terms of what the American Conference brings to the table, or the Mountain West, the MAC. That situation presents a real opportunity for the teams that are participating. We saw Boise State 2 years ago make it. Last year, you saw James Madison get in. This is a real opportunity for the teams that got left behind and stay and built a conference, worth playing for.
Taking your Pac-12 hat off for just a minute, just being a college football guy, what format do you like the best from a competitive nature? Do you like the 12 where it is? Do you like the 16? Do you like them talking about going to 24? Where does Ryan Leaf fall?
I'm fine for as many as they want to. I mean, the cream is going to rise to the top. There can be an upset here. Last year, this is a really good example of the FCS blueprint. I think there's 16 teams or 24. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But North Dakota State, for me, was far and away the best team in all of the FCS. And Illinois State got on a roll and upset them in an early round. And that was fascinating to me. They played so well during that stretch. They got themselves to the national championship game. And I mean, the FCS has been doing it right for decades. And I don't see why there's anything wrong with that. I'd love to see more games being played at the home stadiums of these teams for playoffs. I get where the money's at in the bowl games and how much corporate money they're throwing around to make those the games. But I think the teams that get the bye should then also get a home playoff game. It would make for such great matchups. I mean, the idea of Alabama going to Oklahoma last year, that was so cool. That was so fun to see play out. And then Alabama having to go to play Indiana in the Rose Bowl. I mean, make the Rose Bowl more important, than a quarterfinal game or something like that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm up for anything. More college football is better for me. I just wish the format was a little different.
I agree. And had it been 24 last year, Utah would have hosted Michigan at Rice-Eccles Stadium before going to play. I think it would have been either Indiana or Ohio State in the second round. So I think Utah fans would have loved that. They'd really love it now if Michigan and Utah played in the postseason.
Yeah, it would be a very fascinating one. I was speaking at the Las Vegas Bowl a year ago when all of that transpired, and Morgan took over, and so I got a chance to kind of see it all play out in real time. And yeah, that would be a heck of a matchup to see play out.
Ryan Leaf's with us. We're talking college football. Lead college football analyst for the USA Network this year on Pac-12 football. And by the way, who's your partner going to be? Who's the play-by-play partner?
I don't think they've announced it yet, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes here. They've only announced my participation, which I am very humbled by, but we should hear something, I think, in the next week or two. But I've worked with them in the past. Love them. You're going to have a lot of knowledge and a lot of fun. We're gonna be a lot of fun together.
Okay, that'll be great. We'll look for that announcement coming up really soon. You mentioned being down at the Vegas Bowl last year. It was an odd time. There's no doubt about it. It was odd, but that's 9 months in our rear window now. And Morgan Scalley's had his hand on this program now. As you watched it transpire, and obviously you've known Morgan, having covered the Pac-12 for years when he was defensive coordinator here. Give me your 10,000-foot view on him now making this his program. He's been in the program his entire life, Ryan. Now he's running it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective because you take over management of so many different things. I've talked to so many coordinators that have become head coaches, and the idea of giving up play calling duties is always the bigger question and all that. Do I remove that part of the equation, which is what got me the job in the first place? To start micromanaging everything that goes on. I mean, I don't know if he could have had a better teacher in Kyle Whittingham over this period of time when he was, head coach in waiting. So I don't foresee any sort of, missteps that come out of nowhere or things that surprise Morgan Scalley. I think that he's going to be incredibly prepared, and he'll tell you this like anybody will. It's all going to depend on whether we win and whether Utah wins and loses. That's the defining factor in all this. You can be a pariah 1 minute, and if you win, you are beloved, or vice versa. It's just how it goes. And so that's the way of the world of college football. I think he'll do very well. I've had a chance to talk to him in the past. I spoke to the team a few years back, spent some time with him personally. The kids really seem to, listen and kind of galvanize behind him. And then also, I just think he's got an incredible football mind. Now, you have to go out and win the football game.
Yeah.
And if you do that, he's going to be very, very well liked in Salt Lake City.
There's a real interesting new vibe and energy around it. There was nothing wrong with what Kyle Whittingham did for 21 years, but it's a little bit different now. It's kind of he's put his imprint on it. He's made a real effort, too. There was a lot of talk among the players and stuff that it used to be the offense and the defense, and I think Scalley's made a real effort to blend both those. It's one team, not an offensive room and a defensive room. How important is that in kind of today's football, Ryan, that, it's not two different sides of the ball. It's one team that plays offense and plays defense?
No, this is to win championships and to be a complete team, all three phases, right? Special teams, defense, and offense have to be clicking together. And, everybody has a different way they're going to go about it if they're the man in charge. I always thought about it when I was an offensive coordinator, if I ever got a head coaching opportunity, what that would look like. How much of Mike Price would I have invested in what I did as a head coach? What would be the hybrid of that in terms of offensive football and the way I went about things? And so I'm sure Morgan is the same way. Everybody has a certain philosophy on how things should go. And Kyle's philosophy worked for 21 years, right? Worked incredibly well. But sometimes you just need to hear a different voice. Sometimes you need to hear and see a different kind of perspective, and that's what you get. Whether that becomes a winning philosophy remains to be seen. You got to go out and do the work and see how it transpires afterwards. But it's, rebirth, newness. I mean, it's the cornerstone of what the NFL is built on every offseason.
Ryan Leaf's our guest for a couple more minutes here on ESPN 700. What do you make of the Big 12 big picture? I kind of see it in tiers, Ryan, and I see it's kind of a Texas Tech, BYU, Utah top tier, and then maybe an Arizona, Houston, TCU, Kansas State second tier. I'm not sure if anybody in the second tier can win the league, but they could mess it up. I think Tech's got an easy road with their schedule. I think the Utah-BYU game, the Holy War, as they like to call it sometimes, might decide who plays Texas Tech, but that's all kind of conversing about it on paper. How do you kind of see it?
I'm a little interested to see what Baylor brings to the table this season. I really am. I think that, they added a quarterback in the transfer portal out of Florida, guy that had a lot of steam, never really lived up to kind of what the expectations were there during that fight. And Dave Aranda is in a make or break year for him, I think. And so there's a lot going on there in Waco, and I'm fascinated to see what that team looks like. But I'm with you. Texas Tech has spent all the money, right? They've put all the things out there. They don't have the quarterback maybe that they thought they were going to have, but they've added the pieces. They got to feel what it was like to get to the playoff last year and get embarrassed. So they're wearing that a little bit. BYU's been really special. Utah kept up with everybody a year ago. I'm with you. I think there's probably those tiers. Don't ever push anything to the side when you talk about Kansas State, especially with Colin Quinn.
Yep.
Or Colin Klein returning as the next head coach there in Manhattan. That's a fascinating one. Washington State heads there in week 2. I'll get a good kind of look at it because watching film and getting preparing for the conference season to kick off there. I think I have Washington State and Fresno State to kick off that season in conference play. So, there's a lot of ups and downs. I think a lot of teams are looking directly at the what's going on in Lubbock and in Salt Lake City. It would be great to see those two teams when you get to the end of it battling for that conference championship.
Yeah, just to your point on Baylor, I'm interested to see what they do too. I agree on the make or break thing. They open with Auburn, but they close with BYU, Texas Tech, and Houston, and 2 of those 3 on the road. That is, I don't know that anybody in the Big 12 has a tougher close than what Baylor does.
Yeah, it's listen, these conferences have been built to be very, very difficult now, right? I mean, there's been a lot of realignment. Like, you have not built a conference outside the power or inside the Power 4 that's not going to be on a week-to-week basis brutal, and that's the way it should be.
How's the Pac-12 look? Who's the team to beat on paper? Is it Boise? Is it somebody else? Who's the team to beat in your mind heading into the year in the Pac-12?
Well, I think as you found out when college football is the way it is, you have a different team every single year. When you see a team return with a lot of the same guys, and that's the Boise State in this conference, you have to probably throw your chips in when it comes to that team. So I would argue right now, Boise State is probably the team to beat in the conference. A lot of newness everywhere else. You have new head coaching in Oregon State, Washington State, Colorado State. Very interesting there in Fort Collins with Jim Mora now as the head football coach. New head coaches, new philosophies, new ideas, all of those things, coming to fruition. So I like Boise State right now. Listen, they start with Oregon and Memphis. Those are maybe 2 of the, Oregon may be one of the top teams in the country. Memphis might be one of the top teams outside of the Power 4 conference. They hit the road. Watching Boise State in this situation, we have that game, by the way. We have Memphis at Boise in week 2. That could be for a lot of marbles, to see a team that was supposed to be at the top. Now, listen, they could lose all their non-conference games and still win the conference, and that's the way that things go. But that would tell you a lot about a team if after 2 weeks they're 0-2 against 2 of the better teams in the country.
In the big picture, for many years, the SEC was seen as the gold standard for college football, and rightfully so. it feels like we've had a shift now to the Big Ten, and the SEC is not toe-to-toe with them anymore. Still a very good league, but it feels like the Big Ten is overtaken and maybe separated just a little bit. Do you see that too, and why do you think that's happened?
I mean, I don't know if I've seen that. I mean, I think the conferences are just as, competitive as anything. I think that the Big Ten has found a way to win a championship the last 3 years, right? That's, for the longest time, the SEC was winning championships year in, year out. So people wanted to say the SEC. Doesn't mean the SEC is down. I still think they are, soup to nuts, probably the best conference in all of college football, just because of the talent and when the draft happens, you see the collective that is sent to the NFL ranks each and every year. But it's silly to hear people just go back and forth about this conference is better than that conference. When the teams play each other on a Saturday, regardless of what conference they're in, we'll see who comes away the winner. I mean, the national championship a year ago was between an ACC team, which the ACC was absolutely horrid a year ago, versus a team in the Big Ten where they had multiple good teams. So, it's just a matter of how it plays out. When you play well, the SEC is going to have a lot of great teams. They beat each other up every weekend. So does the Big Ten. Nothing's going to change. I don't like the narrative that like this conference is better than that conference. All four of the power conferences now in place are incredibly competitive. From week in, week out, you're going to be playing difficult, tough football games to get you to that next level.
Is there a team for you? I don't know that there's a definitive best team. There seems to be a handful of 4 or 5, maybe 6 going into the season. Is there a team you like as the best on paper?
I usually trend towards the best quarterback, and I think it's John Mateer. I really like Oklahoma. They found their way a little bit last year. He got injured, a couple weeks before the Texas game, tried to come back too quick, never was the same player. I think Oklahoma has a lot on their shoulders. I think Brent Venables needs to win. So I expect a lot of big things from him. That matchup in the Red River rivalry against Texas with Arch Manning, I think is going to play for a lot. I also like Oregon. Dante Moore coming back. They've been on the precipice over the last few years, and I expect them to be right there once again. So if you're asking me, there you got an SEC team and a Big Ten team there when it's all said and done. But look to quarterback play this year as the motivating factor, like it normally is. But even more impressive, I think there's going to be a quarterback this year that is just far and away above the talent pool that they kind of willed their team to a championship this year.
There's a little Coug in that John Mateer in Oklahoma pick there, too, from his days at Wazoo.
Definitely. I mean, I thought he was the best college football player in the country 2 years ago. I thought he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner, not Travis Hunter. I stick by that. I thought he was the best player in all of college football. He just, of course, wasn't being seen a lot at Washington State. Had an opportunity to jump to Oklahoma, and I think a lot of people have these expectations of him, and then the injury really, kind of put him down the ladder. And I don't think a lot of people have a lot of expectations this year, which is pretty good. He can kind of go into it, and you're going to find out pretty quickly what a great quarterback he is, running the same type of offense he did 2 years ago at Washington State with their offensive coordinator. So, yeah, excited for that team to see what they can do there in Norman.
All right, last thing for you, Ryan. You're a thinker. You're a smart guy. You look at things big picture and from a very interesting lens. Greg Sankey is actually out here in Park City this week and doing some stuff out this direction. He's probably the closest thing we have to a, face of college football from a administrative standpoint. But if I were to make you czar of college football, if you were the guy that was overseeing things, how do we make this thing work? How do we make this financial thing work so it benefits the game, universities, and the players? Because, again, we don't have a lot of good guardrails. We don't have a lot of good oversight to this. There's some good thoughts, but if you were in charge right now, how do we make this thing work for the good of the sport so that this thing thrives moving forward?
Well, I would institute a National Collegiate Football League with 18 to 22 teams in each conference, aside from the NCAA, and then I would put into play restrictions around NIL. I would make it NIL. I would make it name, image, and likeness, not pay to play, and that's the difference for me. It's the most money in. Gets the most players. I want you to be on a roster. I want you to be compensated if ticket sales are through the roof, if your jersey's being sold in the bookstore a ton, if you're doing local commercials or national commercials come along, that you're being paid for your name, image, and likeness. That's what NIL is. I hate hearing people say NIL these days because it's not NIL. And then the transfer rule would have to change. I would want to see a restriction on maybe a one-time transfer deal. That's why I would fix it. Right now it's just, listen, I love college football. I'll never not love college football. So when the games are on, I will watch it. I'll be honest, though, the college football playoff really didn't do much for me the last 2 years. It wasn't something that I paid a lot of attention to. And maybe that would have had to do with the fact that I was calling games on the CW for the Pac-12, which meant I was only calling Washington State and Oregon State games. That broadens my view a little bit this year. And, of course, seeing a Pac-12 team get into the college football playoff, I want to be up to speed with everything else that's going on. But, the product for me hasn't been great. I'm excited for that to get back to being a great product this year. For whatever reason, I think some of the shifting landscapes and climates with some of the coaches, I think have made for some really great rivalries, and I'm excited to see what this season holds.
I am too. I'm excited around here because it's kind of a new era of football being ushered in with Morgan Scalley at the U. I think the Big 12 is going to be really good and really competitive, and I'm also anxious to see what they end up doing with the expansion of the playoff, whether it goes to 16. It doesn't feel like 16, Ryan. It feels like everybody but the SEC and ESPN are behind the 2014 model. I'm like you. I like good college football. I like more games is always a good thing, and inclusion isn't a bad thing. I wouldn't mind seeing that 16-team step first to take it there, but if we're eventually going to get to 24, I think that's probably where we're going to go.
And also, I think if I was doing what you talked about, I would make, if you're going to play 12 games, then make them all in conference, right? And if you're going to play a non-conference game, make it a Power 4 non-conference opponent. You're going to have to start the season earlier and have less games if you're going to go into a playoff with 24 teams, in my opinion. Maybe one less game. Maybe you're playing 11 games a year, and not making them play where you play a non-conference opponent that's from the FCS level or something like that. You have to play, games. Every week's got to be a game. Plain and simple. It just can't be a walkthrough opportunity. Those games are just pointless to have. I understand they lift up and financially aid the lower divisions, and if you don't do that, it could be the collapse of a lot of those lower divisions. But I think that that is a necessity to keep the right teams playing for the right things and for the right championships down the line.
Hey, thanks for doing this. It's great to catch up. It had been too long. Congratulations on the USA Network gig. We'll look forward to see who your play-by-play guy is soon, and maybe, just maybe, you're out this way doing a few Utah State Aggie games up in Logan.
Yeah, that would be the hope. I know that I won't be there this year, I think, unless there is the final game of the flex game. I don't know if they have a home game for their flex game or not, but otherwise I won't be there this year, but I can't wait for the opportunity to get there. I love myself some Utah, that's for sure.
Hey, Ryan, thanks so much for doing it. Take care.
All right, Bill. Have a good day.
You too. Ryan Leaf with us here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Bill Riley filling in today for Sean. He'll be the lead analyst on the USA Network as the Pac-12 is back, kind of, sort of. I mean, it really hasn't been there the last couple of years, but the league is back and certainly on better footing than it's been in recent years. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, Washington State, San Diego State, Texas State, Utah State. Every school in that league is a state. Interesting. And it will probably expand a little bit more in the coming years. But those are the schools in the Pac-12 this year. All right, we're going to grab a break. We're going to come back and talk a little more college football. Utah's big-name non-conference opponent this year is the Arkansas Razorbacks. Where will Arkansas be this year? It's a rebuilding year for the Razorbacks, coming off what was a really tough year last year for Arkansas. They've got a new head coach and maybe some new renewed hope. But how quickly will that hope come? We'll talk to their color analyst, Quinn Grovey, will join us coming up on the other side here on Utah's #1 sports talk and home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, final half hour here. Bill Riley filling in today for Sean O'Connell. We have football 5 weeks from today. That's right, 5 weeks from today. 35 days, the Utes open up against the Idaho Vandals. That's Thursday night, September the 3rd. And then after that, schedule gets a little bit better. An SEC team coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday, September the 12th. But an SEC team maybe in a little bit of a rebuild mode with a new head coach and a pretty new roster as well. Thought we'd get the insight on the Arkansas Razorbacks with a guy that's been part of their broadcast team and played for the Hogs back in the day. Quinn Grovey with us here, joining us from, I'm guessing, somewhere in northwest Arkansas. Quinn, how are you?
Bill, I'm doing good. I'm in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and getting ready to go play some golf after I finish with you.
Well, that's good. That's what you should be doing on a Friday because once football season begins, it's harder to get out there and play a little golf for guys like you and I that travel on the weekends to do these football games. So what do the Utah fans, and me in particular, who's going to be prepping to call this game, what do we need to know about this team? Last year was tough, 2-10. You lost your last 10 games, had some fourth quarter leads get away from you. So what's new? What needs to be known in coming out of Fayetteville?
Well, I think what people really need to understand is that we're not as far away as people think. I mean, when you talk about losing your last 10 games, I mean, that's very difficult to do. But when you talk about having Ole Miss on the ropes, you should have beat them. I mean, you had them down. I mean, you lose 41-35 to them. You lose to Memphis. You get beat by Notre Dame pretty soundly, but then you come back and you play Tennessee tight. So when you look at all the games that Arkansas played last year, they were right there. It was just really – attention to detail, a lot of focus. You always expected something bad to happen. And that's what I love about Coach Silverfield. Coach Silverfield is a guy that says we're going to control everything that we can control. We're going to be the best in the country at controlling that. And so that comes down to making sure you're taking care of the football. The way he runs his practice with the offense, I mean, there's a lot of protection with the football, making sure you understand where to go with the football when you're the quarterbacks, making sure you're holding on to it, making sure you catch it. And so they're really focusing in on the protection aspect of it, and then just really making sure you find a way to create turnovers, give yourself a chance. And we experienced it ourselves. We lost to Coach Silverfield in Memphis over there at the Liberty Bowl. All they did was just hung around, waited for us to make a mistake, and finally found a way to win a football game. So I think what you're going to find from this Arkansas football team, while we may not be as explosive offensively under like a Bobby Petrino, we will be very good offensively, and I just think what you're going to find is that we're going to be fundamentally sound, and we're going to be a team that's not going to beat itself. It's going to be a team that's going to try to stick around to the fourth quarter and try to force you to make a mistake.
Well, you mentioned Ryan Silverfield. He was the head coach at Memphis, went 50-25, 29-9 over his last couple of seasons, couple of bowl wins over Power 4 teams. So he's got the good resume. He may have auditioned for that job in that win over Arkansas that was at the Liberty Bowl as well. So what's he done? There was a coaching change here, but Morgan Scalley he played here. He'd been on staff here. He'd been around the program for 25 years. It was an easy shift and changing of the guard when Kyle Whittingham decided to step aside and then eventually go to Michigan. What Silverfield had to do down there in Fayetteville?
Well, he's had to just really re-energize this program. And if you look at the hire, I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting a much bigger name. But we got us a really good football coach. And this is a football coach that understands all parameters of the program. What I love about Coach Silverfield, he understands how to engage with the donors. He's done a fantastic job of just latching into our donors and really getting people to really support his program at a high level. He's brought in a great staff of coaches, guys that have been around. I mean, you talk about a guy like Ron Roberts. He is like, as the young kids would say, he's an OG. When it comes down to being a defensive coordinator. He's one of those guys that has been around, that understands how to get defenses moving in the right direction. Did a great job at Florida. Tim Cramsey, his offensive coordinator from Memphis, came over. He's brought in a nice coaching staff, but the thing about it is he's just put parameters in place. He said, you know what, we're going to be the best at what we can be the best at, which is controlling what we control. We can control how we line up. We can control our effort. We can control all that. So I think he's setting the right mindset. Now, you still got some quality players here. Don't get me wrong. Now, we've got a brand new roster pretty much. I mean, when you talk about 44 transfers and almost 80 new people. I mean, that makes it very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, Coach Silverfield is very, very solid in his mindset and his thinking. And, he's coached in the NFL. He's coached in college. He's coached in high school. He understands how to communicate. And to me, that makes a difference. I mean, I'll just give you a prime example. We're at a donor event his first week here. Bunch of donors, big money, got to have that big money. But when his players walked up, he was locked in. And then he immediately went back to the donors. And so I love the aspect of it. He gets all components of what it takes to build a program, and he's doing the right things. He's giving our fan base a lot of hope right now.
Arkansas color analyst and broadcaster and former player Quinn Grovey with us here on the Sean O'Connell Show with Bill Riley filling in today. So replacing a lot of faces. You got to start at the quarterback. It's the most important position on the field, as you know, Quinn. Taylon Green's gone. He had a great year last year, part of that great offense. Mike Washington, the tailback's also gone. But tell me who you expect, or is there a leader, or is there a defined guy already at quarterback?
That's $1 million question. I know KJ Jackson. KJ got a chance to play last year, and he did well when Taylon Green was not in the football game. So he understands the University of Arkansas. He understands, where to go eat, where to park, all that kind of stuff. And so he doesn't have to learn all that. But then you got a guy like A.J. Hill. He comes in from Memphis, transferring with Coach Silverfield. He understands the offense. And so he's got to understand some other players as well and other things at the University of Arkansas. At the end of the day, Coach Silverfield said they're going to battle it out. And I've always said, being a quarterback at Arkansas myself, the team is going to select the quarterback by the way they perform. I mean, they're going to move down the field. When a certain guy walks into the huddle, guys respond differently. That's going to be the difference, in my opinion. Both these guys are extremely smart. They understand pre-snap. They understand post-snap. So they'll be very good there. They're both very, very athletic. I'm not sure exactly who's going to be the starter. I mean, Coach Silverfield and Coach Cramsey and those guys are keeping it close to the vest. I would say basically just based off of just playing experience at Arkansas, I would think that KJ probably has the edge, but AJ is right there with him. And you've got to have a quarterback if you want to win football games in this conference, and especially if you're talking about going to win a football game way out in Salt Lake City at 9:30 Central Standard Time, which will be very, very difficult for us.
You guys like to talk about that kickoff time an awful lot. You, your AD, everybody seems to be hung up. What does it matter whether you just got to suit up and play a little football? Utah's playing at 9:30 too.
No, you're right about that. I'm just saying it's late. It's late. I'm speaking from myself now. I wouldn't care. I would not care. But at the end of the day, at 9:30, I'm usually in REM sleep. And so that's one of the things where you gotta get that. But no, they'll be excited about getting out there. That's going to be a fun environment. We went out to BYU a couple of years ago, and that was the nicest fan base that I've ever been associated with. I mean, they handed out ice cream and all that kind of stuff. I was like, are you kidding? I mean, we're like from the SEC. We're expecting to get cussed out as we walked in, and they're clapping for us. So I don't expect that same environment in Salt Lake. But I expect it to be a fun environment. That's going to be a big, big game, and that's one that a lot of people here are hanging their hats on to see how improved we are.
Yeah, I don't know that North Alabama is going to give you a good feel in week one, but Utah will probably give you a little bit better feel in week two where you're at, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a big-time matchup. And I know you talked about the coaching change that y'all have as well, and that was an easy transition. But it's going to be a fun game. We can't wait to get out there and experience that environment. And that kickoff time gives us a little bit more time to go ahead and frolic and enjoy Salt Lake City a little bit more.
Well, you were talking about teeing it up and playing this afternoon. You can get up in the morning and play a little golf that morning, Quinn, and then get to the game a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to all of that. I'm looking for great restaurants. Bill, I love eating.
Hey,
I heard about a spot called, is it Valters? Is that a good spot?
Valters is pretty good. There's another Italian place called Matteo downtown that I could send you over to that place too. Quinn, I'll take care of you and the broadcast crew on a good spot to eat on Friday night. Don't you worry about that.
Well, I appreciate that because we love to eat and we love to take people to eat with us, and so that's going to be a fun trip. We got a lot of fans coming out. We've got people putting together travel packages, so there's going to be a huge Arkansas contingent out there. and we're excited about coming out there.
Well, and Utah fans are excited too because, as you know, SEC teams don't really leave the South very much to play non-conference games.
Yeah.
So to get an SEC, Florida was out here a few years ago. Utah got them out here, and Utah made a trip. And LSU's on the schedule in a few years as well. There's a home and home with LSU still. So I know Utah fans are excited about getting the Hogs out here and just getting some SEC teams out of Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Yeah, well, it's a great trip for us, and we're stepping outside of our normal footprint. There's no doubt about it. But playing against a team like Utah, with the rich history that they have, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And that's a tough game. I mean, you want to play against somebody non-conference. I could find 20 other people that I'd rather play than Utah. But at the end of the day, if you win that football game, that sets you up to put yourselves in a good position. But, Utah is a quality opponent, and, boy, we're excited about it.
Well, then you get Georgia the next week back at home. So it's back-to-back. That is not easy for Ryan Silverfield early. All right, give us an idea of, obviously there's a lot of change, a lot of new face, quarterback battle right now. But if you feel – is there a position group or an area on this team you feel pretty good about heading into camp?
Well, I feel really good about the wide receiver core. We lost a lot of our wide receivers as well. We lost Omega Blake. We lost Raylan Sharp. Those are two guys that were very, very effective for us. But now you got C.J. Brown coming back. He's a guy that will be probably your top returning receiver. Then you got Jaylen Brown, who actually Jaylen Brown just left the program. But he's a guy that was going to be able to help this program in a big way. But Courtney Crutchfield is a guy from Pine Bluff that can help you out. Ismail Cece, he's the transfer from Stanford. He's a guy that is big, that is strong, that can run. He can make a lot of plays. But I think the guy that's going to be probably the biggest difference maker in the wide receiver position is going to be Chris Marshall. He's a transfer from Boise State. He's a guy that's very athletic. And I think they'll be put in positions where they'll be able to catch the football. They block. They do a lot of different things from a wide receiver perspective, but they're very, very effective. In the spring game, they're very explosive and yards after the catch. So those guys are going to be one of the key cogs. I think they'll help the young quarterback in KJ and AJ. And then you flip it over to the defensive side. I think the defensive front is going to be probably the strongest position group that we have. You lose some really quality guys in Cam Ball and Phillip Lee, Keyshawn Blackstock, and all those guys. But Quincy Rhodes is a second-team All-SEC guy. And when you want to talk about somebody that can get after the quarterback, he can flat get after the quarterback. Last year he had 15.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks. He'll have more than that, even though he will be double-teamed in a lot of different ways. But the guy that transferred from Virginia, Hunter Osborne, number 0.
Okay.
Big fella, over 300 pounds, likes to wear number 0. He wears number 0. He wants to look a little skinnier. But he's a guy that is very, very effective. He's played a lot of snaps. I love what he does. I love what he did in the spring, the attitude that he showed with this football team. He's going to help this defense out an awful lot. And then you get into our linebackers. There's a linebacker by the name of Kamori House. He is very, very disruptive. He's a transfer as well. Reminds me a lot of the Honey Badger.
Okay.
Just a guy that is just all over the place. He understands how to blitz. Like if you send him on a blitz, he understands how to get back there and get the sack. He understands what his job is to do. But he can jump up and get in passing lanes. He can make a lot of plays. So Kamari House is a guy that is electric. And I think you're going to see him be somebody that's going to create a lot of impact defensively for Arkansas. But Ron Roberts is a defensive coordinator who understands how to put those guys in a great position. And I expect him to really turn those guys loose, moving them all over the field, using them as chess pieces.
Arkansas will come to Salt Lake City on September the 12th. Quinn will be part of that trip. He'll be on the radio side of things with his broadcast partner, Chuck Barrett, and they'll call that game. You played a little QB back in the old Southwest Conference days. You ever miss those days? I mean, the Southwest Conference, man, that was some good. I'm going to guess. I'm just guessing because you and I are about the same age. So were you an option quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they call us back in the day. Now they call them RPOs. So
No, it's always going to be an option quarterback to me.
Yeah, no, we won a lot of games back then. The Southwest Conference back then was one of the tougher conferences.
Yep.
When you talk about Texas A&M, and Baylor, and all those guys, they were very, very difficult to deal with. I was fortunate enough to win 2 conference championships. Very proud. I'm the only quarterback in school history to win 2 conference championships, and it was tough. But I don't miss getting hit. I really don't miss getting hit. I do miss the adrenaline aspect of it. But what I will say, I've done this radio broadcast thing for this. I think this will be my 29th year, and so I get my fulfillment from traveling with the team and still being a part of all that. Once I graduated and had to start flying commercially and going through TSA, I thought, man, what in the world is going on? And now, I'm back to flying with the team, enjoying all that, and so it's really a cool deal.
Yeah, those were back in the days where quarterbacks wore those half shirts, those meshy half shirts, and they were holding that ball and flipping it outside. And
That's right.
you used to play against some old Big 12 teams. Baylor was in the Southwest Conference back in the day, and
Yeah.
I think Texas Tech was probably in the Southwest Conference back in the day, and yeah, some of those schools that are now in the Big 12 with Utah were back. Well, those were old South. Who was your head coach back in those days?
So my head coach was a guy named Ken Hatfield.
Yeah,
He was
Kenny
a former
Hatfield.
player.
Then he went to Air.
was
He
out
went
at
to Air Force. Yeah.
That's right. And so he came back to the University of Arkansas. He was my guy, and man, we won some conference championships. I love playing for him. He was the reason that I came to the University of Arkansas, and I caught a lot of heat for not going to Oklahoma and playing for Barry Switzer. So I still catch heat every time I go across that state line, being an Oklahoma guy and then coming back into the state. So. But I've made my home here. I'm an Arkansan, and I love doing what I do here with the University of Arkansas, and I'm thankful for everything that I did because it was the best decision I made in my life.
I was going to say those were the days when J.C. Watts and Jamel Holloway and all those quarterbacks were over there at Oklahoma.
Yeah, those were. It was a good crew over there. Now, the one thing I always like to say is I wasn't afraid of competition, but at the end of the day, when Jamel Holloway was a freshman and they had won a national championship, and so that's going to be very, very difficult. So I like to say I had to be smart about where I decided to go, and the University of Arkansas was a perfect fit.
Well, you just showed your ability to read. You can read a defense and you can read a quarterback situation, and you made the right read, Quinn.
That's right. Well, I did, and I'm thankful for it. And this state has been so good to me, and the fan base is just off the charts crazy. And I'm always grateful for the people of Arkansas.
When's camp begin? Begins Monday for Utah. When's it begin for Arkansas?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, we'll be getting ready to go, and so everybody will be fired up and getting things ready to go. And once you get things started, I mean, you start that media day, and you do all that, and then now it's time to go. And then before you know it, Bill, we'll look up and it'll be week 6. That's how fast that football season goes.
Quinn, I say it all the time. It's the season we wait and count down the days to get here, but it flies by the fastest. Nobody ever says basketball season or baseball season fly by fast. But, man, football season, it's gone in a blink of an eye.
It is. And I love every bit of it. It happens so fast, but it's one of the – I like to say in the Grovey household, the holiday season starts when the first game kicks off, and then we just roll on into Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and New Year's, and it's just a big holiday for the Grovey family.
I agree. Same thing with the Rileys and the Smileys. So enjoy yourself. We'll connect again. I'll get with you and Chuck, and we'll connect again. Maybe get you on my podcast, tape something for a pregame show. But I'll for sure, you guys are going to go to breakfast at Park Cafe. My friend Sean owns the place. It's the best breakfast spot anywhere in Salt Lake City. So breakfast for sure there, and I'll figure out some dinner spots for you too.
All right, Bill. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Talk soon, Quinn. Thank you. That's Quinn Grovey with us. He's the color analyst, former Arkansas quarterback. You heard it. Won a couple of Southwest Conference championships over there for Kenny Hatfield. They'll be in Salt Lake City coming up on the 12th of September. Practice kicks off Monday. 5 weeks from today, it's Idaho, and then Arkansas goes right after that. So, yeah, we can't wait for it. Best season of the year. Absolute best season. You know why it's the best season? Because it's fall, and the temperatures and the leaves change, and it's football season, and it's every Saturday, in some cases Thursdays. But then within football season, you know what you have? You have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas. All the best holidays are right there, too. We'll be back to wrap it up next. Sean O'Connell Show, Bill Riley sitting in on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Well, I was expecting to see Spence Checketts since the drive is coming up next. Apparently, it's vacation week here at ESPN 700. Sean O'Connell out. I'm filling in here. Spence Checketts out. Porter Larson filling in there. Where's everybody at?
Good question. Undisclosed.
Okay. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, boss man?
I'm doing good.
Good to
Former
see
boss man.
Yes.
Former boss man.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. Well, I guess forever, whatever. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're yes, maybe getting PTO in before camp kicks off and the
Monday.
the real sports. No disrespect to soccer and golf and the like.
No, but football season drives it. I mean, I love the month. I miss the fact that we haven't had soccer 3 times a day every day for the last couple of weeks.
Right.
That was so much fun, but football is the season that drives it all.
I mean, you look at the studio. It's the home of
Absolutely.
the Utes,
Yeah.
especially on this station. That's what drives folks. Even in July, we're talking World Cup. There's the top World Cup teams in the world playing on the television,
Right.
and we've got texters like, "Hey, where's the fall camp previews? Let's talk some Utes." And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
like,
all
we
right.
mix that in, but they can't do it all. They can't do it 3 hours every day. You can in September, August, September, October, November, though.
Of course, and plenty, Bill, of conversation, of fodder this season with Utah football.
Yeah,
right?
it's going to be a great year.
The Scally stuff, the transition, the transfer of power, if you will, but also just a whole lot beyond that, right? The assistant coaches that are filling roles, the roster, which a lot of the skill positions are set and ready to go. There's a lot of questions, maybe not concerns, but questions along the offensive and defensive fronts. And I'm excited to get into it all because it's going to be fun.
I think the offensive line is going to be good.
Yeah.
Is it going to be as dominant as it was a year ago? That would be a stretch because that was kind of a generation once every 5, 7, 10 years,
Right.
Good offensive line. But I think Jordan's got a bunch of good guys this year. I think they'll be good. I'm more curious about the defensive line because I think it's the position group that could most impact how good Utah's season could be, say outside of quarterback. Obviously, quarterback determines all that stuff. But I think they've got to figure, last year John Henry Daly was kind of a surprise,
Yeah.
A very pleasant surprise. I don't think anybody had him getting 11.5 sacks in 10.5 games last year, but who becomes that guy this year? Tackles were solid last year, but they gave up some running stuff late in the year. How good are those? They brought in 3 tackles. They've got 2 returning, and Kafusi and Pupu that are really good. So I'm really anxious to see the defensive line this year.
Yeah. And the defensive line will tell you the ceiling of this defense, right? You got a defensive line that's disruptive, that is.
If you can rush 4, that allows you to do so much more with your D. You don't have to get super exotic with blitzes
Right.
and things like that. If you can get pressure like they did with Fano and Daly last year off the edge with 4, and those 4 guys, that just allows everything else to be so much different defensively.
And simple, right?
Yeah.
It simplifies everything else behind that defensive front, and it also allows, if you want to, your ability to take some risks, your
Yep.
ability to not blitz because you need to, but blitz because you want to, because you have that offense on their heels, right? And that's just that's something that a defensive coordinator in his first year, a defensive coordinator in Colton Swan, it would just make his life so much easier. And I think that you mentioned Pupu and Carson, a couple of transfer ins that they're really high on, and in Samsula and otherwise. I think that this is a defensive line that has a lot of bodies and a lot of guys that you can throw out there, but having 6, 7 guys is one thing. Having that 1 or 2 that are your John Henry Daly, that are game changers, right, is something that you need in order to have a top flight defense.
No, I agree. It's going to be fun to watch kind of how those pieces move around. To Colton's point, he's been a coordinator before. He was a coordinator at Weber.
Right.
And he's been part of this defense, knows the personnel. So I think that's a pretty smooth transition for him.
And I talked about on the show a little bit yesterday, there was an inkling that he was going to be the defensive coordinator this year before the season ended. Things in the offseason were a little fluid, if you will, with Kyle and maybe changing some minds up there. But Colton was preparing as if he was maybe going to be the defensive coordinator this year. And there was he had some more tasks to do later on in the year. He was calling some plays. He was being more involved.
Well, I think Morgan had
Little
him.
test
I
run.
think Morgan kind of had him prepared because Morgan's been preparing. He knew he was going to be a head coach at some point in time.
Been the head
Didn't
coach
know.
and waiting
Yeah.
on and off
So
for how long?
I think he and Colton probably had those conversations. When that day comes, be prepared.
Yep.
So, what do you get on the show today, by the way?
Yeah, on the show today, we'll talk Utah Fall Camp, of course. with it coming up on Monday. Sammy Moore of Ute Zone is going to stop by in studio, and we're going to go all through the entire roster, give a little preview of fall camp, what question marks remain, what ones have been answered since spring ball and since the fall, and we'll go from there with Sammy. Richard Smitty Smith is going to stop by and talk in studio. All the NBA offseason, all the Jazz stuff, NBA draft, and Darren Peterson in Salt Lake City and more. And then Paul Pugmire will have a Uinta Golf PGA Tour update. Of course, a fun golf season so far this summer.
All right. That's all coming up on The Drive with Porter Larson today as he pinch hits for Spence Checketts. Thanks to Cordy for coming in studio. Thanks to Ryan Leave. Thanks for Quinn Grovey. Thanks to you guys for interacting and listening in today. I absolutely, positively love filling in for Sean when I get a chance and getting to reconnect with you guys. And I love the fact that so many of you still tune in and interact, and I love it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Listen to my podcast, The Crimson Corner, the latest episode. I have Bradley and I on this week. I've got my Under the Headset podcast as well. Earlier this week, Derek Odom and Kevin McGivern dropped. Chad Bumpus drops a little bit later today. Coach Bump, who's back coaching wide receivers for Utah. Find those wherever you find podcasts. And if you like the video side of it, there's a video component to the Under the Headset podcast as well. 5 weeks until football, baby. Camp begins on Monday. Porter's next with The Drive. Talk to you soon. Bill Riley filling in for Sean today right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.